Hello there, and the biggest welcome to this part of the course in which we're going to demonstrate how you can use Elementor to its fullest capacity. A lot of people understand that Elementor is a page builder that you can build websites with it, but there is a very, very good potential, great potential, in fact, to Elementor, if only you know how to use it. Now, this is the Elementor website. This is the Elementor landing page, and so I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can build a clone of this particular page right here. Trust me, this is not easy work. We're going to have to work hard on this. It's going to take us some time, but I'm going to show you how you can use the Elementor Flexbox feature to make use of it and to create something similar. Now, just the footer might make you dizzy because the footer is pretty huge and even there's so much detail, but I can show you how to achieve all of this. Now, here's the result that I got using my local host. So this is the clone of the page that I built. And by the way, this is not the Elementor website. This is just the clone of the website. And you can see how perfect this is and how similar it looks to this one here. This is the original one, and this is the clone. Okay, this is the clone. We're going to create this using Elementor and on the local host. So this is the local environment. This is where I was creating the page. And I can come here and click Edit with Elementor so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And that this is an entirely Elementor created page, which is fantastic that you can do this using the Flexbox container and not the columns and the sections, which is the usual thing people go to learn in the first place. Now, the past section or the past lecture about the Flexbox container showed you how to create a website or a page in which there are cars, and we generated these cars using Midjourney. But now we're going to go for a very, very difficult thing now. Now, what we're about to do now is very difficult. It takes a great deal of concentration. I need you to prepare to spare 4, 5, or 6 hours of your day to be able to learn this. But trust me, once you've learned this, you will have made a very, very big step in your Elementor journey. You'll really, in my opinion, will reach an intermediate level at Elementor web development. So over the next lecture, we're going to go ahead and create the page from scratch. And I want you to follow up with me. And I'm going to show you some extensions that are necessary for you to download before we go in. So the next lecture, I'll show you the extensions, and we're going to go right through or right to creating this clone of this page. Now, I can create any website. I can make a clone of any website, and by learning this with me in this lecture or in the next couple of lectures, you're also going to be able to create a clone for any website you desire. Okay, so that's a very, very great skill, and you could really monetize that very easily on platforms like Fiverr. You could even create a stunning website for yourself by learning this, because all you have to do is to go and find out the best websites and try to idolize and model them. See you in the next lecture where we're going to get started. Prepare yourself, go grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, or whatever, because this is not going to be easy. It's going to take you some time, and it's going to take me some time and a lot of energy, but it's all worth it because we're learning here. See you there. Hello there, and welcome back. Now here, the first extensions that I want you to download are the following. The first one is a page ruler. Now you're going to ask me, why is it necessary for us to download the page ruler? And note this. When I clicked on the page ruler, you can see that the screen changed. And so now I can actually take measurements. For instance, let's say I want to know what are the exact measurements of this particular button so that I can duplicate it exactly as it is. I can zoom in here, like so. And I can come in here, but now I think it's going to change. So I'm going to zoom out, just make it 100%. And in here, I'm going to take the button from here, and I can just scale to see the size. So here I can see that this button's size is, where's the height? Okay, so the height is 55 pixels and the width is 246 pixels. Now that's the first thing you need to download. Every time you want to calculate something, you want to calculate its surface, not the surface, but you want to calculate the size of it to duplicate it, you're going to have to click on the extension. Now here, you can find the extension. I'm going to open it, well, here. Now, Just going to click this just to show you what extension I'm talking about. It's Page Ruler. And all you'd have to do is to go to Google and search for Page Ruler, like so. Search for Page Ruler extension, and then download it. I'm going to leave the link in the description of this course or of this lecture for those that weren't able to find it. You can see over here that over 200,000 people have already downloaded it. And this is a very handy tool for developers. If you're a developer, this is a must-have. Now, there are other extensions apart from this one. If you want to use others, you can choose others. But for me, this is the one that I like. Now, another thing that you need is the font detector. Now this, if I click on it, I can click on any text. For example, I can take this text and click on it, and now it tells me the font size, it tells me the font style, the font weight, it tells me the family of the font. In this case, it's Helvetica, which is the first font, and then if Helvetica doesn't work, if there's a problem, then they say here that this should change to sans serif. And here I can see the text align, I can see that the line height, even the color of the font here, RGB 000. So I can see everything. Any detail I want, I can see it by clicking this and by just hovering over and clicking on the element which I want to spy on. So this is called, to be precise, let me get you the exact same name. So I'm going to open this extension here, and the name is Font Inspector. Now go to Google and search for Font Inspector or Inspector. And the first result is this. Make sure that you download it from the Google Web Store or Chrome Web Store, not from any other place, because you might be compromising your data. Now, trust only these big websites and make sure that you have keywords everywhere that tells you the domain authority of the website, at least, because websites that have a big domain authority can be trusted. And you can find that they have hardly any spam score here. For example, Chrome.Google has no spam score. And so it's obvious. Now, once you've downloaded these two, you're good to go. So now what I want you to do is to go back, log into your local dashboard or your local WordPress. So this needs no hosting for the moment. If you don't want to purchase a hosting, then this is just the course for you. I've tried to make it, in fact, I've made it a course that's very, very free friendly. So if you're keen on not spending money on hosting until you've learned a lot or until you know exactly what you need to do, then you can use the local host. And if you didn't watch that lecture, you can go back to it where I teach you how to install the local hosting and how to create your local hosting website and start working on it from scratch. Now, assuming that you have watched the previous lectures, I'm going to start now. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the dashboard, and then I'm going to go ahead and just create my first page. So I'm going to hover over page, click add new. This is another way that you can add a page. And then I'm just going to wait for a second here. All right, done deal now. So the page was created. All that's left is to give it a title. So I'm going to go ahead and title it Elementor Landing Page Clone. All right, so landing page clone, I'm going to click on publish and publish. Then, of course, we're going to go ahead and start editing the page with Elementor. It's going to be blank, has nothing, but we're going to make it. So I'm going to put my page in here. I'm going to take it from here to here. Well, I'm afraid I can't change the position here because we are in Microsoft Edge, and there is a difference between Edge and Chrome. So you should thank goodness for Chrome. I'm going to click Edit with Elementor here and Edit with Elementor again. Now make sure you click the top Edit with Elementor in the bottom so that you access the Elementor page builder. And right off the bat, you notice that I have a black screen, Elementor with the black screen. I'll show you in a minute how you can access that. And also, we're going to have to make our page Elementor full canvas because we don't want the menu of the website to pop in. And I'll show you how, or I show you why in a second. So here we have a page, right? But still, like I said, there is a menu, right? We don't want this menu to appear because this is the menu from the website. Now, I want you to click on settings here. And first thing is first, what you would notice here, there's this advanced option where you can add some custom CSS. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because we're going to use custom CSS all throughout this particular course. And also, I'm going to show you how you can use ChatGPT to write CSS for you, HTML and CSS, so that you don't need to, okay? Now, over here, we have the page layout. I want you to click on it and then click on Elementor Canvas. Now, just wait for a second here and you'll see that the menu will disappear. And interestingly enough, the menu disappeared along with the footer of the page. So we have no footer and no header, which is optimal for us because we're going to build our own footer. And as you've noticed, this is a sticky footer, a sticky header, and we're going to build our own footer as well. So I'm going to scroll down all the way back to the footer, and you can see that this is the footer, and we have built it all by using the Elementor Flexbox container. Now, the reason why this is a sticky header is simply because over here, if I go to the official Elementor website, which is this one here, you can see that the header actually scrolls down as you scroll down. So it's a sticky header. I'll show you how to achieve that as well. So there's a great deal to learn here. It's just that you have to be patient. And like I said, if you want to make your Elementor black here, if you want to make the screen black, if you're afraid for your eyes, if you're not comfortable with the white screen, you can click down here, click here, and then click on site settings. I'm pretty sure, well, let's just see, maybe user preferences or site settings. I'm not pretty sure about it, but let me just go ahead and see. All right, so I'm pretty sure it's not site settings. Okay, so I'm going to just go back here and let me go and click on the user preferences, and I'm pretty sure that that would be where you could find how you can customize your Elementor. So here, user preferences, and that's it. So user preferences and choose the dark theme. So over here, if I click the light theme, I'm going to come back to the light theme, which is, I don't like it. I'm going to click the dark theme because it enables me to concentrate more and I can see more here. So that's it. We've created our page, and next up, we're going to go ahead and start by the first thing, which is this guy over here. We're going to go ahead and create the Elementor header. So see you there in the next lecture. Stay tuned. All right, so hello there and welcome back. Now, the first thing you want to do is, if you notice here, this menu has a lot of pages here. So web creation, under web creation, we have Elementor plus WordPress plus WooCommerce, web design, widgets, all this stuff. Also here we have products, and under products there is website builder, strategy, page builder plugin. And the resources, we have this bunch of stuff and this bunch of stuff here. So quickly, I'm going to go through and showing you how you can create a menu like this one, because that's the first thing we're going to create. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on preview changes just so I can go to the dashboard through this page. And let me go to appearance. Okay, so let's go here, click the dashboard. And let me show you how you can go ahead and create your menu. Come over to here, scroll down, click on appearance, and then here you can see menus. Click on menus. That's exactly where you want to be. Now, once we've clicked on menus, you can see that I would have a bunch of menus here. So I have 5 menus in total: Elementor menu, footer menu, main menu, test menu, top navigation. So the Elementor menu is the one that we have over here, which is the one that you need, because if I go back over here to the official Elementor website, you can see that this is the menu that they have. And we want to achieve something like this, something to the effects of this. So you're going to have to create a page, and you got to call it web creation, then create another page and call it products, then create another page and call it resources, and so on and so forth. And for every single page, you're going to have to create another page. For instance, here under web creation, there are Elementor plus WordPress and Elementor plus WooCommerce. So it's just you need to go and create all of these pages, and then you can come back here to the dashboard, and you can come here and click on create a new menu. Okay, create a new menu. I'll show you how you can create a menu, but you're gonna have to go first and create all the pages yourself. Now here I'm going to name my menu new clone menu. Now I'm gonna make it a off canvas menu. Click create new, and so now we have our menu, but still there is no page, right? We have no pages here. So first thing is first, we're going to drag the web creation page like so. So you can either come here and search for it, or click on view all and search for it page by page, or you can use widths and you can search for it by clicking the search button. And since I've already created the pages, I can just search for each page and they will give them back to me in a second. So here we have the web creation page. This is the one. I'm going to click on it and click on add to menu. So now that I have my page, what I can do is I can add children to the page, considering that this is the parent page, and I'll add the pages that are under it in the submenu. So the first page is Elementor plus WordPress. I can go ahead and search for it. Elementor plus. Just add Elementor plus and it will surely give me the results. Now Elementor plus WordPress. Let me just do it like this. Okay, if they don't give it to me, I'm gonna have to go and search for it. Well, we have it here, so I'm gonna click add to menu. And then the next page on the list is web design, or not web design, it's actually Elementor plus WooCommerce. So I'm gonna go ahead here and search for Elementor plus WooCommerce. And that's it. And then click search. That's fine. So I'm gonna click add to menu now. And then what's the next page on the list? The next page on the list is this one, web design and then widgets. So I'm gonna go ahead and search for web design and widgets accordingly. I'm gonna take this, just drag and drop it like so. Right, widgets. Let me search for widgets here. Now, the next page is web design. We missed that one. So I'm gonna go for web design first. Then we're gonna go to widgets. Right, so click on web design, add that, and then let's go to widgets, and then all features. Right, widgets, that's it. Add to menu, and then we have all features and kits library. That's it. All features. I'm going to click add to menu, and then we have the kits library, like I said. So this is the kits library. Kits library. Okay, kits library, that's fine. And I'm going to do a demonstration, and then you can go ahead and complete this. So in order to make these pages under the web creation page, I'm going to have to take them and drag and drop them like this. Now the next one will be a little harder to do because this one will be dragged underneath the Elementor plus WordPress page, but you have to keep dragging it like so to make sure that you get it in the right position. Keep dragging it like this and it will just be in the right position. So this one as well, and then this one as well, and then this one as well, and then this one as well. So now we have created the first element on this menu, which is this one. Let's go ahead to the second one, and I'll leave it to you to create the other ones following my instructions. So let me go ahead and add the products page to the menu. So search for products. I'm pretty sure I've added 2 pages that have products in them. So this is the page. I'm going to click add to menu, and then you need to go ahead and add all of these pages: website builder, strategy, page builder plugin. Right, so here let's search for website builder. All right, website builder, and then what's the next page is strategy and page builder plugin. All right, so website builder, and then let's just go ahead to strategy. The next one is strategy. That's it. Let me go and see. All right, so I'm gonna add this one, and then we have page builder plugin. Search for that one as well. And then what do we have as well here? We also have the hello theme. Now, when you hover over these elements, nothing happens except for an animation that I can show you how to achieve. Even though I haven't perfectly created it in a similar fashion to Elementor here, you can see that there is a difference, but this is the best that you can go with CSS. Trust me. I've used ChatGPT, and it's for about an hour trying to create the code for this. And yeah, I've tried everything possible to make it like this one here, but the only thing I could get is this animation, which is cool. I mean, if you think about it, that's as far as you can get. Now over here, we have the page builder plugin page. I'm gonna add that as well. And that's the last page, not the last page. I think there is another one. Let me check here. There's the hello theme, okay? So that's the last one here for this particular element of our menu. and I'll leave you the rest to do. That would be the exercise for you. So hello theme, okay, that's it. And then after that, notice that products page or products is the parent page, and the other ones are its children. Think of it this way. So I'm going to move this one here, move this one a little bit like this to make sure it's in position, and then this one as well, and then this one as well, and that's it. So right now we have two of our elements, and like I said, I'm going to leave you the rest. So I'm going to save menu, and in fact, I'm not going to use it because I'm going to use the menu that I've already built. Okay, but if you notice here, there is the logo, there is the Elementor logo, and many of you are going to be asking, well, how do we get this logo? Do we just take a print screen? And well, I'll tell you, no, don't get a print screen and then come here, because if you take a print screen, that's copyright infringement, because you can come here and you can download logos that are allowed for you to use in your day-to-day life. These logos are communicated by Elementor themselves. So here's search for Elementor logos. And then the first page is this one. Let's see the second page. Right. Well, let's just search for logo. Okay, Elementor logo. Let me scroll down. All right, so Elementor logo guidelines. This is the page I'm talking about. I'm also going to insert it in the resources section of this course. And here you can see the download all logos. Make sure that you read the legal lines. And so I'm going to click download all logos. And these are the logos. So inside here, we have all the logos that you'd ever need. So you'd have the red logo, the blue logo, the pink logo, any logo you might need, you'll find here. All you have to do is to click on the file. On our PNG and SVG files, I'm interested in the PNGs. And if you notice here, the logo that they're using for this particular page is the blue logo. So I'm going to go ahead and close this page, open up my zip file. And then, like I said, we're interested in the blue logo. So we want the Elementor full blue logo. So if I open this one up, this is the logo, okay? That's what we're looking for. And it's completely transparent, high quality, perfect. Now, the only issue here is that if I take this logo, for instance, and open it up with Paint, you would notice something, and that is the size of the logo is not what we want it to be. So we're going to have to resize this logo using Canva. And that's the reason why you have to have the page ruler. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want you to go and open up a Canva window. Of course, you know where Canva is. So go ahead, open up the Canva window, and then I'll meet you at home, or the Canva home. And then right here, first thing is first, we need the exact measurements for this particular logo here. And that's the reason why we have the page ruler. So make sure that when you download the page ruler, pin it to the background or pin it to the Chrome extension so that it appears here, so that you don't have to go ahead and click here all the time and search for the extension. Now you can see that I have some other extensions over here, but here I only have pinned these ones. So I'm going to click on the page ruler, and then suddenly it changed. So I'm going to take this measurement of the logo like so, and I'm going to see how big this is. All right, so I assume that this is 30 in height and 53, right? Now it's it's 30 pixels in height and 53 pixels in width. No, that's not the right measurement. So I'm going to just select it from here again. The problem is that the measurements are on the other side there. So I'm afraid that this is not looking good. Okay. So what I'm going to have to do, because this one here is hard to measure, because the measurements don't show exactly as where I wanted them to show, because you can see that they are far away to the left-hand side and they disappear there. It sucks. But I have a solution around this. And that's to get to the bottom here, where we have another logo, which is the same size as the top logo, except for the color is different. So I'm going to measure this one up. And the size of it is 186 pixels in width. As far as the height, I'm going to use 50 pixels because we can't use less than that on Canva. So here I'm going to go and click here. And in fact, I'm going to click custom size here, and I'm going to make it 190 by 50 pixels. And that's it. You can make it 200 by 50 pixels if you like. So these are the measurements according to the page, the Elementor page, and I'm going to go ahead and upload my logo. But first of all, I'm going to have to download this one in a place where I can see it. So I'm going to download this as, make sure that it is close. So I'm going to go to the list of downloads and add it there. So there you go. I'm going to add my logo here. Now I'm going to go here to Canva and upload the file. So now we're resizing the file. If you want to know exactly what we're doing here, this will look weird, but this is what you need to do. And then you can see that the Elementor logo has been uploaded, and that's it. So I'm going to take it and place it just on here and make it bigger. Right, so I'm going to go back a little, click, make it bigger until the end. All right. And then I'm going to center it in the middle, and that's it. So I'm going to say Elementor blue logo resized. And then let's download this as a PNG, with a transparent background, because we want the background to be transparent, just like here and just like here on the clone website. So I'm going to unclick the page ruler to get back to normal. And I have my logo now. So how do we add the logo? Well, the first step here is you need to go and add a container. So click here and then click here. We want the container to be organized from left to right. Now we have our container. I want you to go and look for an image. So the image, take it, drag and drop it, and let's upload the image of the logo. All right, so we already have it here. I have it in the media library, but I'm gonna make sure that I do all this from scratch. I'm only gonna use my media library when I really need it. So now I've uploaded the logo here, and you can see that it is pretty good. So the logo is here. You can see that this is exactly how it looks here, even though this looks kind of darker a little bit, it looks black almost, but this is what it is. So we have uploaded our logo. Next, we're gonna have to upload the navigation menu. So I want you to go ahead and search for navigation menu, or nav, just nav menu, and then drag and drop the element right next to this first one, like so. So we have added our menu here, and you need to choose which menu you want to add. Now in this case, I will choose the Elementor menu, and you can see that it is completely different from this one over here in terms of fonts and stuff, but we can go around this, or we can get around this. So first thing is, click the font inspector and then click on this element. Click again, and you can see that the font size of the elements, or the pages on the menu here, is 14. The font family is DM Sans, and font weight is 700. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to click on my menu element. I'm going to go ahead to style, and then right here, typography, I'm going to change this, instead of bangers, to DM Sans. That's it. You can see that it already has changed. Here, in terms of size, they said it's 14, so I'm going to do just that. And in terms of weight, it's 700. And let's see what else. So we also have the font color, which is RGB 54126. So we're going to add that as well. But not now. Let's just come here, click on text color, just paste that. And you can see that we're getting in there now. The color has changed. And over here as well, you have the line height, which is important. So you have to make sure that you add that as well. Line height. Let me go back here to typography. There is a line height. And here it says that the line height should be at 20 pixels. So 20 pixels is all we need. We've added that. And you can see over here, another detail is that there is no transformation in terms of text, and text indent is 0. Text align left. Text decoration, none. So I'm going to go ahead to transform here. I'm going to make it normal. Style, normal. Decoration, none. So we have created our thing here, but the only issue is you can see that the elements are far stretched. There's a big gap between them in terms of here. There's not a huge gap. So we're going to have to just streamline that gap and make it shorter. So I'm going to click on my element down here, and you can see here that we have horizontal padding, which is, you can control that like so. And when you control the horizontal padding, you control how much distance is there between the elements. Now, apart from this, I think we're doing well. So this distance at this, I think is good. And so I'm going to click on my element back again, go to content here, and I want my menu to be right at the left-hand side, like so. So now we have created our menu. Now, the only thing I want you to do is to come back here down at the bottom, And instead of toggle button hamburger, I want it to click on none. Click on none, click update, and that's it. So now you can visualize this and see how it looks. We're getting in there, right? Now the only issue with the menu is that this looks absolutely nothing like this, especially when we hover over the element, right? So when you hover over here, it doesn't really look the same. So what I can do, I can modify this, right? We can modify this with a CSS code. But first off, we're going to have to modify this drop-down menu. So in the next lecture, we're going to go ahead through modifying the menu. See you there. All right, so right now, let's go ahead and keep modifying our menu here to make it look like this one that we have here, right? So I'm going to click on my menu here. And if I go to Style, and if I scroll down to the drop-down menu here, now you can see that we can control the text color of the drop-down menu. We can control the background color. We can control the typography. We can control all of that stuff. So here, I'm going to come to my idle page, which is this one. And I'm going to have to check by using the font detector to check this. So I'm going to check this element and see its font. So the font size is 18, font weight is 500, font family DM Sans. Okay, so we got that. So I'm going to come here to typography here and look for DM Sans. Right, so DM Sans. And then right here, we're going to have this at 18 pixels. And you can see that there is a change already. Now here, let's see the other elements. So we have the font color, we have text indent none, text transform none, line height is normal. So I'm going to go ahead here, make this all normal. Style normal, decoration none. And then here, in terms of the size, we already have that. So that's good, right? That's perfect. So we're catching on here. Now the only thing you have to modify is the font color. The font color needs to be RGB 0000. So let me go back here and unclick this. Scroll down again. So I'm going to click on the text color and paste this. Okay. So now we have changed the color. You can see that this is the color we want, except for one thing. The background color needs to change. So let's go first of all and check what is the background color here. So I'm going to click on my font detector, hover over this element and just click right here. Now, if I click, it says background color RGB 255, 255, 255. So I'm going to copy that, come back here and paste it. Let's see now. So you can see that they have changed, except for this little animation here. We don't want it. So if you don't want this animation to take place, click on hover. And then here in text color, make it the same as this. So I'm going to copy this text color, come back to hover and change it like so. And then here, when it comes to the background color, we want it to stay the same. We don't want any animations. I'm going to click here and add the same background color on hover. So if I hover now, you can see that there is no effect. Now the effect that we want to achieve is a little serpentine line moving or sliding from left to right. And we want to have this little arrow at the end. So in order to achieve that, we need to add CSS. But first of all, you can see that if I click here, there is a little gap between the menu or between the element, the page here, and the sub menu. We want to achieve that. But first of all, we're going to have to add a border. So I'm going to add a solid border. And right here, in terms of width, I'm going to unclick these and I'm going to give it a top width. And you can see over here that the top width is slim and the left width is also slim, but the right width is practically at 5 and this one is at 5. So I'm going to come here, top width, I'm going to make it 1. So you can see now it is 1. Now the right width, I'm going to make it 5. The bottom width, I'm going to make it also 5. And the left width, I'm going to make it 1. So now if you hover, you can see that we have some change here. Now the color, I want it to be entirely black, right? Only, I think we can go here and hover over this element to see exactly what is the color here. So if I click now here, all right, well, let's just try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I'm going to click. All right, so you can see that it's pretty hard. Click on the font, go back here, click, right? So we can click back. So here the color is RGB 3741. So let's just, to be precise, add that as a color of the border. Now here, the color is this. Let's see. All right, so that's the color. Perfect. But you can see that there is a little bit of a border radius missing here. We need some border radius, right? We can add border radius from here by adding 10 all across the board. And so now you can see that we have a pretty good result. We have to distance the top. So I'm going to come here and you can see that there is horizontal padding. So we can add the horizontal padding and we can add vertical padding. Right, so there is vertical padding here. Now, I'm afraid the distance is very close. So let me just add some more like this. Maybe this one, maybe 10 would do. Okay, so 10. And here the horizontal padding, let's see. All right, so I think if I add more, let's see what effect this will cause. Now I'm just going to go ahead back here and see where exactly this is located. All right, so maybe a 25 horizontal padding would do. So let me just hover over. Yeah, I think 25 would do. And so now here, there is a divider. Well, there is no divider, but let's put a distance between this and this by clicking here. So now you can see that the menu is kind of distanced away from the top menu, exactly as it is here and exactly as it is here. Okay, that's awesome. So let me go back here and you can see that we have a pretty good animation. Now we can do something like maybe adding a shadow here. So if I come back here, the border is solid. Let me try something else. Maybe let me try a groove one. Let's see the groove one, how it will work. The groove, let's see the dashed. The dash doesn't really work. Dotted, double, solid. Right, I think this is the best we can do is the solid one. And let's click on the color here. Maybe I can do something to the color to alter it a little bit. Maybe you can add a little bit of transparency to see how this works. Right, it doesn't really work that well. So let's just click it. The border, the color, make sure that everything is just as we want it. So click, click. That's it. So right now we have built the menu. Now I'm going to go ahead over here and pick my CSS code. So here I'm going to just go back. So I'm going to go to the kit setting or the settings of the Elementor page. And this is where you can add the CSS. So click here and then click on advanced. And once you click on advanced, you'll notice that you can add the CSS code like so. So I'm going to go back here. Now this is bugging. I'm going to have to pause the video a little bit because the local environment is kind of buggy. So I want you to go to ChatGPT and just talk to it. All right. I have ChatGPT Plus, so it allows me to ask it as many questions as I want without being stopped or being thrown out of the platform because there are so many people using it. So you can ask it exactly what you want. In my case, you should ask it something like this. You could say, I have a menu and I want you to help me write a HTML and CSS code to enable a fine line to slide underneath the submenu pages from left to right. I want the line to be 5 pixels in width and to be black in color. And I also want you to add an arrow in line with the submenu pages, and it should be black as well, and it should be at the end, or it should be in line, and also it should be at the right hand side of the page or the submenu pages. So right now it's going to go ahead and write the CSS for us. Now fortunately I've already done this for you so that you don't have to do it. And so I'm going to click here on the settings and go to advanced, and this is the code. So I can just copy paste this code right here and it will achieve the same effect. But let's just wait for for this code. Let's try this code first and see what this will do. Hopefully this will work better than the other one. As far as I'm concerned, this wasn't easy for me because even if ChatGPT is writing the code for me, I had to make sure that it works because I need to test it and I need to come back here for iterations. Now, here we have the HTML. I'm not going to copy the HTML. I'm just going to copy the CSS. Let's just wait for it to finish this. So you can see how proficient it is at writing the code. It can even help you through your exams, your CSS exams or your JavaScript exams, whatever programming language you're learning. This could really help you. So I'm going to copy the code, come back here, paste it. Let's try and see. So now I have copied the code, but nothing happened, right? Maybe I need to go back and copy the HTML code as well. So I'm going to come here, all right, let's just delete the code. Let's copy the HTML code first. And then let's copy the CSS code underneath it. Right? And see now if it works. If it doesn't work, like I said, I'm just going to use my code. So right here, it doesn't work. Okay. So that's unfortunate because, and I'm saying this and I'm not trying to ridicule, but I want you to go and learn. Okay. So I've really struggled a bit to generate this code, even though ChatGPT writes it for me because I don't want to write it myself, but I still had to make sure that I give it the prompts, and it was over 10 to maybe more prompts before it was able to generate this code as I wanted it. So here I just pasted my code, and you can see that we have this animation here, which is not really bad, but here we have the line going through. So what I can do, I can just go ahead and distance the line a bit. So here it says 17 pixels. Let me try with maybe 12. Okay, so now it is better. Let me try with 10 pixels. I think this will be better. Well, 10 pixels is good, but let's try with 8. All right, so I think 8 is also good. Let's try with 5 and see. 5. All right, 5 is even better. Okay, so now we have our menu and we have the slider underneath it. Now, if you're asking for the code, you will find it in the resources section of this course. I'll attach it to a text notepad. Just go ahead and copy paste it as it is. So now we have built our menu. We only have one thing left, and that is this little animation here that you can see when you hover over the elements or the pages of the menu. You can see that there is a little slider underneath here. We don't want that. We want something like this. We want the color to change, the color of the element to change. So over here, I'm going to click on my menu on the other Elementor that I have. I'm going to go to Style. I'm going to go to Hover, and this is the color you want for Hover. So I'm going to copy this color, and I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click on my element, and I'm going to go to Style here. And the normal color here is blue. The hover color is blue as well. Now, when I hover, nothing happens because I need to change the color of this. So I'll go back here and I'll click on my font detector. I'll click on this. Well, let me click back. I'll click on this and let's see now, right? Let me click. Now the color here, it says it's RGB 43100, but right here it appears to be a black color. So I'm just going to go ahead straight away and change this instead of blue to black, right? And you can see that if I hover now, it changes to blue, but if I don't hover, it changes back to black. Now right here, we have this little slider that we need to remove. And I can show you how to remove that. It's very simple actually. Click here on hover. And then you can see here that we have a pointer. Now I want you to click on that pointer and take the color from black to completely transparent by just sliding it here. Don't change the color, just make it transparent. Now if I hover, you can see that there is no pointer and the menu is exactly as we want it to be. Now you can see that we have created the menu. Like I said, it's not like this menu precisely because this one is very advanced and pretty much I tried the CSS code, but I couldn't get it right. There is a lot of errors, but I try to get it to particularly something that looks similar and also gives it a pretty visual effect to it. And this one I think was good. So let's go right now and add an element here, which is a header or heading with a link. And we're going to add this button that says get started. So see you in the next lecture. We're going to have to add those, and we'll go back, or we'll go to the other elements and keep building this page to perfection. All right, so this particular point, what you want to do here, I want you to go and click here, and let's go and look for a heading. Drag and drop that heading right here. Okay, so let's make sure that it is after the navigation bar. And that's it, we have our heading. So let's head back now to the Elementor website. This one, not the other one. And then I want you to click here on the font inspector on this. Let's click back. Now the size is 14, 500, DM Sans. So let's go back to the local WordPress. Go to style here and change this. But first of all here, I'm going to change this to log in. Let's go to style. Now typography here, we're going to change it to DM Sans according to what's there on the Elementor website. Here the size is 14. Now here, let's go back. The font weight is 500. It's medium. And then we have the other stuff, which is the RGB color. I'm going to copy it. Font color is RGB 54126. Let me come here to text color, paste the color, and that's it. So we have the color. And then we have other stuff here. The line height is 72. So I'm going to come back here, click on typography, and line height here must be 72. That's it. And let's see the other stuff. We have the text transform, none. Let's click here on text transform, none. Style normal, decoration none. And that's it. So we have our button. So now if I click, you can see that there is an incoherence, but we can fix that later on. Now I'm going to click here on my element. I'm going to go to advanced here and make sure that this is centered, right? Make sure that it's centered. The width, I'm going to make it full width, and let's see. So the full width actually kind of changes this, or instead we're going to change it to custom, and you can play around with the width of the button as much as you want, or the width of the element as much as you want. I'm going to go back to default here. You can also make it inline if you want. I'm going to go back default. And then we can change this stuff later. Now the next thing here, position, let's just see the position here. Now if I change this to fixed, let's just play around with this. Let's change it to absolute. Let's get it back to default. Okay, so in terms of the content layout here, must be justified and update. So right now let's go ahead and add the button. Now the button is not that difficult. Come here and then look for button. Now I'm going to look for this particular button over here. Or you can even make it a text or a text heading instead of a button if you don't want to add a button here. But in my case, I want to add a button. So I'm going to take a button, drag and drop it right here. So we have the button here. The size of the button is small. I can make it bigger. I can make it maybe medium. And then over here, instead of click here, the button says get started, and it's caps lock, get started. Now there is a link, but it's a link that points nowhere. The button should be centered. And down here, we have some other stuff. Icon, so there is no icon, none. The button justified. And then here, I'm going to go to type here. We can change that, but not that important. So let's come back here and click on the font inspector and click here to see the color. Now the color here, I want the color here maybe, yeah, it's RGB 255, 255, 255. So I'm going to come here to the button, scroll down. Here, the background color is this. So I'm going to click, change it. Now you can see that the background color is white here, but we don't want that. We want the color of the button to be the same color of this. So I'm going to click here. Font color RGB 33, 37. Let's try with this one. And if it doesn't work, we can go to Canva and inspect the color. Right, so it doesn't work. Okay, so what can we do now? I'm just going to go back to Canva here because I've uploaded my logo here. And I'm going to click on my logo, click on Edit Image. Or click here, click plus, and then you can click this and inspect the color. So the color is this. I'm going to copy that, come back, then come back to my local website. And in here, I'm going to click on the background and change the color to this. So you can see that now the color is exactly what we want it to be, except for when you hover over this, the color gets slightly a little lighter. So I'm going to click on hover, and then down here, I'm going to add the same color, except for I'm going to make it lighter, like so. So if I hover over it, you can see that it gets lighter, but we want to achieve a much lighter effect. So I'm going to make it like so. I'm going to just drag and drop the color like that. I think this one is good. Maybe a little, just a little more. And this one is better. Okay. So the text color is completely white. The hover color is also completely white. And if I just click this, you can see that we have our button. Now the thing is, right here, there is no border radius. We can add some padding. So let's add maybe 10 padding. You can see that that makes a difference. I'm just going to leave it as is. And then here, I'm going to click on my container, the entire container, and I'm going to make sure that they are spaced between. So if I click now, you can see that the button is at the other side, but let me just do a little bit of modifications here. Now, if I go and take this to the end, this is what it does. If I center content around, everything is centered now. And so if I click, content is all centered in the same line, so we're getting there, but the button should be bigger. So how can we achieve that? I have a very simple solution around this, which is to take this from the scruff of the neck. So I'm just gonna take my little element here, and I need to push it like this. So I'm pushing it like so, but I have to distance it between it, put a distance between this and this, like this. And the more distance I add, the more it gets like this. But if I click here to check how this looks, kind of looks cramped up a little bit in here. So I'm going to have to take this back a little bit like this. And so if I click now, it looks like this. Now, if I click on my button, I'm going to have to try and change it to make it completely aligned. I'm going to click on it, go to advanced, then uncheck the padding, uncheck the margin, and then I'm going to go back here and make it extra small. Right. When I made it extra small here and center it, right. Let's just see now. And you can see we have a beautiful button, except for it got a little smaller. So let me just do another thing here. I'm going to make my button a little bit bigger. Clicking on it. I'm going to control the width like this. I'm going to click here and then align the layout here. We have it perfectly set. Now all that's left is to change the font size here. Now the font size, let me go back here and click in font inspector. I'm going to click on this font, click again. The size is, it says 16, but I'm assuming it would be bigger. So I'm going to go ahead to style here. And let's change the font style. Go to typography here, 16, and then here we have the font weight is 500. Now we have the RGB color. We're not going to touch that. The line height is 72 pixels. Line height 72 pixels, and you can see that this changed our button. So if I click back right now, you can see that this is a little bit better, but I'm going to have to put a distance like this. I'm going to click, change this distance, bring it closer, bring this one closer like this. And then I'm going to click on my button here. I'm going to go back to advanced, link values, unlink values, link values, and unlink values, center it, content, layout, justified. So normally this should just work. I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to space between them, center. Right, so it should just work. Click the button here. It's extra small. If I change it to medium, it's still the same. Right, so maybe I need to just tone down the line height here. It shouldn't be 72. So I'll come back to typography here and change this to, first of all, the font should be DM Sans, not Roboto. And then right here we have the line height. Let's just tone it down a little like this. And I think we're getting there, right? So at 25, line height is better. Let's just take this, drag and drop it a little bit like this. Take our button, and then we're going to customize the width of the button now. So I'm going to go to Advanced, I'm going to go to Width, Custom. Let's change the width. Make it a little bit bigger like this, but the bigger we make it, the more, right? So I think 30, yep, that's not really what we're looking for. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of margin to fix this. First off, I'm going to have to change the width a little bit. And then here, the margin at the top, I'm going to add a minus something like 20. And then at the right-hand side, I'm going to add a minus 10. And if I click now, you can see that we're getting in there. This should be centered. So if I click on my button here, we could do something. We could change this. If I change this, let's see. Let's try with the padding now. So let's click on here. Try with the 10 padding. The padding only made it worse. If I check with negative padding here, doesn't work either. So I'm going to click on my element here. Let's add a little bit of margin. On the right hand side, I'm going to add minus 200. Like this. Well, not across the board. Should just add an individual minus 200 margin. Like so. And then here, let me click, add the top margin, or a right margin instead. So I'm going to click on my element. Right margin should be minus 20. Let me see now how this looks like. Okay, so we've nailed it, except for this should be in the same line. So I'm thinking maybe we can change the size of the text. So if I go to content here, the text is get started, but we have to change the size to fit. So let's try with 14, and let's see if it does the job. Okay, 14 does the job, but I'm gonna have to change, or in fact, let's just update this because sometimes it just doesn't work, no matter how hard you try. Now here, I'm gonna just check one thing. I'm gonna click right here, and I'm gonna uncheck the margin, and that's it. So we have created our header. So let's go ahead right now and complete the rest. Next thing is I'm gonna go ahead and create the rest of the stuff, which is the first heading here. Now we need to create a new container, but first of all, what I want to do is I want to make the background, I want to make the entire background of the website in this particular color, in a kind of white color. So I'm going to come here, and in the advanced section, I'm going to add a piece of code that changes this, but you can see that it's already added. But if you want to add it, this is the piece of code you're going to have to add: background color, and that's the color, right? All right, so let's complete this tutorial in the next lecture and continue building this page. All right, welcome back into this tutorial. So before we move on, I'm going to add a spacer between these elements. I'm going to take a spacer and place it down here. Now you can see that it's pretty hard to do this, but I have successfully placed the spacer, and that's it. I'm just going to have to click this thing, go to advanced here. On the right hand side, I'm going to keep adding more, but it doesn't really change anything. Right, so you can see that it doesn't really change anything there. So I'm going to click, and you can see right now that we have this nailed, but the only issue is this. I don't know why this gets started. So if I click, I'm just going to do one last thing here before we move on. Style. And in terms of the typography, I'm going to control the line height a little bit. See now? Well, maybe if we try with 400. Well, it still doesn't work. Style normal, transform normal, none. And then here if I just try with 12, still see the problem is there. So I'm just going to get it back to 16 here. Okay. All right. Click back. And this is the best we could do. But still, it's not bad, isn't it? So here, let's continue on. And the first thing I'm going to add is another container with two headings. First heading, second heading. So I'm going to come here and click here. But you can add a container like this. You can click this button. And so this time, the container that we want to add should be from top to bottom. This is how it should be organized. I'm going to choose this one. And right away, I'm going to go ahead and add my first heading. That's it. But between the pages, we need some distance, or between the containers, we need some distance. So I'm going to go and take a spacer, grab it, put it on top. And then I'm going to just control the spacing in here, add a little bit of space. Because if you try to add margin, this will affect the background color and you will have discrepancies in your background color. It's better off to use a spacer. So I'm going to click here, center this content right inside, and then let's go back. Let me go back here to spy a little bit on this. Let's close the Udemy page. I'm going to click here and my font inspector, I'm going to click on the entire thing. 16 size 700 DM sans. Okay, so I'm going to go here to style and then to typography. It should be 16 size, it should be 700 bold, and it should be DM sans in terms of font. Right, so that's it. And the text says page builder plugin. So I'm going to take that text as it is, go to content, paste it. There you go. We have our text, page builder plugin. It's not appearing now, but it will appear in a second. So just wait. Go to style. Now here we have a RGB color. The font color is RGB 000, which stands for black. So I'm going to click here. This is the black color. Typography. Now here, let's see if we have some other stuff to add. Line height is 32. It should be uppercased. I'm going to go to typography here. Transform, uppercase. Line height should be at 32. And default none. Style normal. Update. That's it. So we have our second header. Now the second header, I'm sorry, is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to duplicate this one here. Duplicate is going to add right at the bottom of it. And then I'm going to use my font inspector and inspect this. So the second one has a font size of 48. Right, so here I'm going to go to style this second one here. The font size is 48. 48. And then we have 700. It's a sans serif, but I'm not going to use the sans serif because here we don't have it. I need to import it. So if I look for sans serif, I can't find it. Or instead, I think I'm going to use the VM sans serif. Right, that one exists here. Let's just look for serif here. So we have DM serif text, DM serif display. Let's try this one first. Doesn't really look good. DM serif display, also not good. So let's maybe try with another one here. Let's try with Roboto. Roboto is also a font that's close. Roboto. Right, it's not really that close. Maybe Montserrat. Or in fact, let me see here what font I used right here. So if I go here, I go to typography, we've used the font Helvetica. Okay, so I'm going to use the Helvetica font. And you might find this weird, thinking like, why are you using the same font here? And I'm going to answer this because these fonts are not present in the Elementor page builder. You're going to have to install them. You're going to have to add them yourself. Okay, so these are custom fonts. They exist out there, but you have to add them. Now, the font color is RGB 000. It's the same font from the other one here. Line height is 75.6. So I'm just going to come here and change this to line height of 75.6. And I'm going to change the text. So the text here says, pick the Pro plugin. So I'm just going to come in here and paste that as it is. Come to content. Just remove this one, place the text, and make sure that this is centered. And so if I click now, you can see that we have our little box. Now let's see, this one here should display in the same line, which tells us that we have done something wrong. Now here, maybe we need to tone it down a little bit. Maybe we need to just make the size a little smaller. But I think this one is not so bad. I can do one thing here. I can click and add a little bit of padding. So the padding would solve the issue. So let me come back here, click. Let me click here on my container and go to advanced. And I'll come to padding here. Let's add some padding like so. So if I add 100 padding, well, that's not really. If I click, doesn't really change it that much. So I'm gonna remove the padding, go back to style. Maybe I need to change the font after all, the font size. I'm gonna go to typography here. Let's try with 42. So let's see 42, right? It's good, but still big. I'm gonna go here, maybe try with 38. And then here, we're still gonna add some padding. So I'm gonna come here to this, and I'm gonna add some padding. Unlinked values, I'm gonna add padding from the right-hand side. I'm gonna make it 50. And from the left-hand side, I'm gonna also make it 50. Let's update. And let's see how this looks now. So I think this looks much better. This looks much better, except for it's not the same font, but this is the best we could do. Now right here, you can see that this is not uppercased. So I'm gonna have to change this from uppercase to just capitalize, because these are all capitalized letters. I'm going to click here, go to style, and then typography here, scroll down, transform, capitalize. So it's more like it now. Maybe I can change this back a little bit to 42. Let's see now if it works. I think it does work, even if we change it back to 48 now. So after we've changed the transform from capitalized, from uppercase to capitalized, it all picks up together. So that's it. Update, and the next thing here is to add this. Now this won't be easy, so we're gonna have to add a container for it. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna click, and this time I want the container to be from here to here, right? From the left-hand side to the right-hand side, this one. And of course, I'm gonna click here, and I want you to go and fetch a divider or a spacer. So click add the spacer. Now, right, the problem is here, I'm gonna delete it, and I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna add a new container from top to bottom, drag and drop it right at the top, and then I'm gonna place my spacer in that container alone. Right, place it here, inside, and that's it. If I click, you can see that, well, we have a bug here, so I'm gonna come back in time like so. Problem with these bugs is that they stay there for an eternity. Go to navigator here. Let's see if I can remove the bug. Navigator, scroll down. So here, I'm afraid we're gonna have to delete these containers. Right. Okay, so it's still, we have this element here that displays. It sucks. Update, update, update. So you can see it's a bug. Well, Elementor needs to do something about these bugs. They really suck. So I'm going to click add a new container. I'm just going to disregard the bug for now. Maybe that's just going to be removed in some time. And so here I'm going to go for my spacer. Add it right here. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, right, like this. And I'm going to add my new container, this time from left to right. And then in this container, well, in fact, I'm going to add a container that has 4 containers inside of it, like this. Because if I come back here, this is what we have here. And here, inside of this container, we're going to add text editor, and an image, and a button. So if I click here, this is a button. These are 2 text editors, and this is an image. This is how it goes. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to add a heading, and then another heading underneath it. And then I'm going to go back here and add an image. So I'm going to fetch an image, add an image, and come back here and add a button. Now, come here, drag and drop underneath the image. And so we have our elements. Now we're going to go step by step to modify the first one. So I'm going to click the font inspector, click this, or this one is the same, font size 16, DM sans 700 in weight. So I'm going to click here, go to style. Typography here is DM sans, and font size 16, 700. And then we have the text says essential plan. But first off, let's go back and see the color RGB. Let's check the line height is 32 pixels. Okay, so here, if I go to line height, it is 32 pixels. Here we have transform. Normally this is uppercase. Okay, so uppercase. Let's transform it to uppercase. For the other ones, I'm just going to make them normal, none. And let's go back over here to the text content. Now the text content says essential plan, so let's change that to essential plan. And above all else, it should be centered in the middle. So I'm going to center it, and there you go. Now the color is RGB something. Well, normally I have to go back and pick it up. I thought I copied it, but that's the color here. It's somewhere, right? So here, yeah. Okay, so here background color, where exactly is that color that we're looking for? Background, let me just click again. Background color, text decoration, let me click here or here. Now, normally we should be able to find it out. Maybe there is a bug. Here it says background color, text decoration color. Let's just pick this one here. Let's see if this one works. Paste. Yeah, I think this is the one. And now let's go to the next one here. Let's click. This is the one here. Click on font inspector, click again. Now this one here is 20 pixels, 600 in length. So I'm gonna go here for style. Here it's 20 pixels. I'm going to go with, in this case, Helvetica again, because I don't really know what font to use. Now, it should just be uppercased. Not uppercased, it's capitalized. And the font weight 600, 20 pixels. Font color RGB 5 for 126. But first off here, let's see the other elements. Line height is 32. And so now let me just go and paste the color here. So the color is this one, RGB 4. All right, so that's it. And it says One Pro website. One Pro. So whatever you write there, it's going to be capitalized. Website. And let's just center this, and that's it. So now as far as the image is concerned, we're going to create this with Canva, because you cannot achieve this with Elementor. You can't achieve this US 59/year unless of course you do something like this, unless you add a new container inside of this container. So I can try that out maybe. So if I delete this, I can try this out. This might be good news. So I can take a container, place it inside here, and then I can choose the direction of this container from left to right, and I can come back here and put a heading, and I can put a heading next to it, so I can duplicate the heading 2 times like this. That also does it, I think. And I can just add the numbers here. The first one should say USD, but the font should be, let's go back and just find it out. So here, if I just use the font inspector, I can click on this or this. It's the same thing. 14 pixels, 400 DM sans, right? So 1400, 400. Okay, so hey, let's come back to style, typography, size 14. Here the family is DM sans. Here 400, and the line height is exactly 14. Okay, so let's just change this to 14. A transform uppercase, none, and none. And then here I can come to text color and change this to this. We have the first element. We can go to the second element now. But first off here, if I click, now I can do something like this. I can take this second element and make it the most dominant. I can make it dominate the other ones. But it's still not really that most attractive it's not the best solution out there. So I'm going to delete this one and duplicate this element and then change their position like this. Switch off their positions. Well, it didn't switch off completely. So if I put it here, yeah, that's more like it. And then this one here, I can say /year. If I click /year, and now I have to change this to capitalize instead of uppercase, like so. If I go back and write the text again, it should be fine. And I can come here and spy on this. Now this one here is what's the font size for this? No, I can't really know exactly because this might be an image. If I uncheck this, click again on my font inspector and then click here. Yeah, the font size is 46. So I'm going to click here and go back here, go to typography, go to font size 64. Maybe change this to Times New Roman. It looks more Times New Roman. And then here it says 59. So, but first off, what's the font weight is 700. That's the font weight. And then we have the font color RGB 000, which is black. And okay, so here transform, normal, that's just a number, normal, normal. Line height is how much? 64 as well. Right, 64. And then we can come here to text color, change it to this. Go to content here and say 64. Or if I'm correct, if that's the thing where, no, actually the color, the number here should be 59, not 64. Okay, so 59, center it. And then we can click this thing here, scroll down to the bottom, center it, and center this. The only issue is that these guys are, so you can see that this is another way of doing it, even though it's not the most perfect way to do it. I'm afraid I'm going to have to add a little bit more. The font to me should be just a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it maybe 70. Yep, so 70. And then I'm going to click my element here, click my entire container, and then space between and center. And maybe just center them as well. All right, so here, and I can click this box, go to advanced, and I can come here to margin. Now the left-hand side, I need to add a minus margin to get them closer together, like so. You can see that that's the solution. And I can click on this box as well and go to advanced and add a margin on the right-hand side and make it negative as well to get it closer. Right, so you can see that it's getting closer and closer and closer. I'm afraid that this is also a good solution, but except for you can see that USD and year are under. So if I click, let's see if we can achieve this. Pretty sure that there is a solution around this. Now here it says centered. Let's put them at the end. All right, so now it's more better here. I'm going to go to advanced. And here in terms of the bottom margin, I'll make it like this. So you can see that now we have achieved a pretty good price, the same way as this. Now I'm going to have to work on the button. So the button here, if I click my font inspector, now the background color should be the same as this. So I'm going to go and just use my color that I used for the button above. But first of all, let me update because I don't want to lose all my changes here. So I'm going to click on this button down here. And then I'm going to use its same color. So the color of the button here is this thing right here. Copy, scroll down, click on my button. Then here, First off, I'm going to see if this is a justified button. Now, justified button is simply a button that stretches, you know. So here, I think that's exactly what it is. It's a justified button. So I'm going to click on my button here, and I'm going to justify it. So you can see that it changed. And of course, here, I'm going to make it medium instead of small. Let's try it with the other ones as well. Let's try with the large. Yeah, the large would do. I'm going to click on style here, and we have the background color is this one. I'm going to paste. Right, so we have the color of the background here. And then we can hover. Now, when we hover, now you can see that this is the color on hover. All right, so yeah, they got me there. So I'm going to click this, change this to white. And then on hover, I'm going to go and add a background color like this. So now when you hover, you can see the animation, except for there's one thing, which is that the color of the text is blue without hover. So I'm going to come here and change this to blue. That's it. So now it is better. And on hover, I'm going to change the color of the text to white. So now when you hover over it, it looks more like that, but still there is a border, and we can add a border very easily. So I'm going to click on my button here, and down here you can see border type. I'm going to add a solid border. I'm going to give it a width of 1, and I'm going to give it the color of the exact same background. So now you can see that we have achieved the same looking button as this, except for we need to change the text. It should say buy now. So here, instead of click here, it should say buy now. That's more like it. And I think we've done a pretty good job up until now. So if I click this, you can see we have pretty good result. Except for right here, you can see that this particular section or this particular container has a border with a padding. So how can we achieve that? Well, no problem. That's very easy. I want you to click on the individual container and then go to advanced. And then here, first of all, let's add a little bit of padding here. Let's add maybe 20. And I can scroll down here, and in terms of the border, somewhere here. So it should be, if I click here, let's click back. Now, let's go to style, border, and then we have the border here. I'm going to make it solid and give it a border radius of, all right, maybe a border radius of 10. So if I click now, it should just appear. No, it should appear, right, border solid. I didn't check that. Now let me give it a border radius of 10, and the width should be 1, just 1. Now on hover, it should stay the same. And that's it. So there is no animation on hover. And so now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this very same element. I'm going to duplicate it 3 times. So I'm going to have to delete these ones, delete the first one, delete the second one, and delete the third one. All right, so we deleted the entirety of them, and I'm going to duplicate the first one like this. Then, of course, I'm going to have to add a little bit of a spacing between them. So before duplicating, I'm going to delete it once more. I'm going to click this one, and I'm going to add a little bit of a right-hand side margin. So I'm going to come here, and on the right-hand side, I want it to be distance by 20. And so now I can go ahead and duplicate it easily. Duplicate, and you can see that there is a margin. Now duplicate the next one, and then duplicate the other one, which is the last one here. And then I can come back here and see the rest of the stuff here. It says advanced plan, so I'm just going to go here and change this stuff accordingly. So paste. Now the other one says pro websites, 3 pro websites. I'm going to come here and just change this to 3 pro websites instead. And then here it says the price is 99. So I'm going to have to click this thing, change this one to 99. Now these need to be modified. We're going to modify them later, but just give me some time. Now expert plan needs to also be changed here. Instead of essential plan, we need to say expert plan. Let me just paste that. Over here, 25 pro websites. So if I click this thing here, 1 pro website, now 25 pro websites, price 199. So I'm going to click this thing here, 199. And then we have this one right here, 399 agency, 1,000 pro websites. Right, so click, add this agency plan, and then here The price is $399 if I'm correct. Now here, instead of one pro website, we're going to say 1,000. So I'm just going to get out of the full screen view. Now 1,000 pro websites. And of course, there is something here that we missed, which is the distance between these two. So I'm going to click this one here, and I'm going to go to Advanced, uncheck the margin, and at the top, I'm going to add a negative margin to make them closer together. And the only issue is that at the bottom here, we have this, but I think that should be no problem. Maybe we can solve that by adding, right? So if I just, I don't know if I can solve this issue, so I'm going to click here. Now the padding is 20, the margin is 20, the margin at the top. Well, let's just keep it like this for now. And then I'm going to copy this and paste the style here, and then paste style here, and then paste style here as well. Right. Now another thing that we need to do is, you can see that there is a difference in terms of color. When you see this container here from the background, there is a difference in color. We need to have that effect because here, this looks like the same color. So we can change the color of the entire container by clicking on it. Go to style here, and we can change it to be entirely white because this color is not entirely white. So now it is entirely white, and I can copy, paste style here, and then paste style here, and then paste style here as well. Okay, so now you can see that it looks better. Now let's go and let me modify these. So this one here, there is more right margin. So I'm going to just add a distance in between them. And for the other one as well, a little bit of distance. Just a little bit like this. And then this one here, click, advanced, distance, this one here as well. Advanced, let me just change the distance. Okay, and then this one here, click it, go to advanced, a little bit of distance. This one here as well, click it, go to advanced, a little bit of distance. Right, click, 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 click. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to keep doing this for a long time. Right, so let's just make sure that they are not in each other's space. Yeah, that's a good distance. I'm gonna click this one here, go to advanced as well. Now here, change the distance, remove this, and then of course we have the other one here. Go to advanced, let's remove this distance as well, and I think we're good to go now. I think we have a pretty good looking, except for there is one detail that I don't know if you guys have noted it, but here we have this that says popular, and also the color of the button is different. So here we're going to click here and go to style. Of course, we're going to just switch stuff here. Now the background color should be switched off. Just going to switch this stuff here. This one should be white, and the other one should be also switched. This one should be white, and the other one should be dark. So now if you hover, it's completely opposite from the other ones. Okay, now how do we add this one here, this thing here? Trust me, it's not that easy, but it's also not difficult. So in order to do this, I'm going to duplicate this very header, and I'm just going to remove the text from it like so. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to go to style. It says popular. All right, so I'm going to come back here and say popular. Popular. Now the size, it should be different. Okay, so I'm going to come here to my font inspector, click here. The size is 14, right? The font is the same, but the size is 14. So I'm going to click here, go to typography, change this to 14 instead of 16. And then the font weight is 400, right? And then we have, let's see, the line height. The line height is 14, okay? That's cool. Let's change this to 14. And that's it. So maybe I need to add a little bit more. Okay, so I think 14 wouldn't really do, even though they say it there, but let's just make it 30, 36, maybe 36 or 40. And I'll tell you why later. Now here, I'm going to go to advanced, and here I'm going to scroll down to the background. I'm going to change the background here. So I'm going to change the background to this particular color, the blue color. And I'm going to go back to style, go to typography, text color, not typography, and change the color to white. You can see kind of what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to go to advanced here, uncheck these. The width should be custom. And let's customize the width. You can see that it didn't really fit. Let's try with full width. Default content here. Let's justify it. Well, didn't work. Now I'm going to click on it, go here. I'm going to go to margin. Make sure that you unlink values together and add a right or top minus margin of minus 40, minus 43. Right. Now over here, I'm going to center it, and I'm going to have to position it in a absolute position. Let's change the width to full width. You can see kind of that it's working a little bit here. And I'm just going to do one thing here, which is the Z index. I'm going to go and give it a Z index of 10. I'm going to go to border now. So I'm going to click the border, and then I'm going to add a no border, none. And here I'm going to unlink values together, and the top, right, bottom, left. So I'm going to add a border radius of 10. 10 is too much. Let's try with 5. And let's add a 5 on the left-hand side as well. Not the left-hand side, actually it's the right-hand side. So I'm going to add this one like this. And if I update now, you can see that we've gotten something close. Only we need to make sure that there is a distance, that this distance here needs to be changed. So it's pretty easy. I'm just going to click on my element like so. Click on my element, and here I'm going to modify the margin, the top margin. Instead of minus 43, should be something like minus 30 something. So minus 34. If I see now, let's see the result. Yeah, it looks really good. Doesn't really look that bad. Even though it's not the same, but this is how you do it if you want to do it. So here I'm going to update this, and right away I'm going to click on this container, the entire container, and this time I'm going to add some padding. Now I'm interested in only the right and the left, so I'm going to uncheck this, and on the right hand side I'm going to add 50 padding. On the left hand side I'm going to also add 50 padding and update. Let's see the results now. Okay, so the results are pretty good, except for I think this can be improved, this distance between the number and year. And okay, so but overall you can see that this is good. The bug is still there. The bug of this Elementor bug is still there. Maybe if I close the page and come back, it should change. But I'm going to go ahead now and complete. So I think we've done a pretty good job up until now. So this is pretty awesome. Kind of duplicated this in a very, very good way. You can see that there's not much difference here. And so let's just continue our work. And this time I'm going to go with this section. And see you in the next lecture where I'm going to explain to you how to do that. Hello there and welcome back. So right now let's go ahead and complete creating this landing page. I'm going to go ahead and create a container with 4 containers. I'm going to click on the container and point them out all in the horizontal way from left to right. I see that that's already the case. And right here we will have a heading, and then each other container will have a heading. Except for, in this particular case, we need to have a different type of heading, because here you can see that we have a logo, or I would call it an icon, an SVG icon that I can show you how to download. So if I come back here to the website that I built initially, and if I click on my element, you can see that I added an icon list. Now this is icon list. It's very easy. Actually, you can find it here. So I'm going to go ahead and replicate that. I'm going to go here. But first off, I'm going to add the heading here. And then let's search for, on the other side, let's search for icon list. This is the one. And I'm going to add that here. Now, the reason why I didn't go on to add this in the other ones, because I want to make sure that I create this one, because the other ones are the same except for the text is changed. Okay, so here, the first text should say all plans include. But first off, let's keep this simple and let's go back to our page here. Let's use the font inspector. So I'm going to use the font inspector and just click here. The font size for this particular text is 32 pixels, 700 in width in terms of the text boldness. So I'm going to click typography here, 32, and then we have the text is 700 in terms of weight. The font weight is 700. It's bold. The font I'm assuming is DM Sans or Sans Serif, either one. And like I said, Sans Serif isn't available here, so you'd have to use DM Sans. And then the text says all plans include. But first of all here, let's see what's the font color, as well as the line height is also important. So I'm going to go for line height here. It says 32. Now for the other ones here, the text transform none. And let's see if it's capitalized. I think it is capitalized. So I'm going to come here and transform, capitalize, and style normal. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to change the background color to a color that fits. This particular color I think is good. Now I'm going to go ahead and just change the text to all plans include instead of what it was at the beginning. So I'm going to paste this right here and update. Make sure that you always update in order not to lose the changes. All right, so now I'm going to click on my next element, which is this. And I just want you to go ahead and delete these ones, keep only one of them. And then over here, you can search in the library for a specific icon that you can use, or you can upload one from your own library. So for example, if I click icon library here, we have a bunch of them. So we have this, if you use this, for example, this is how it's going to look. But if you come back here, you notice that they have a particular SVG that you won't find out here. So if I click the icon library, I'm pretty sure I can't find it. I'm going to do my search here. So let's search icon. All right, so here you can see that it's not really there. So I'm going to have to use Canva for this. Or let me just do one search here, check. I think this one could do. So if I use this one, yeah, this one is also good. But in case you want to use Canva for this, you can actually use it. All you have to do is to use the page ruler and measure the size of this. Now, the size of this is not that big. Let me take away the font inspector. Now here the size is about, let's say 50 by 50 pixels. And then you'll have to come here to Canva. And let me show you how you can do this. So here we are on Canva here. Now click create a design. And you'll have to choose a custom size of 50 by 50 pixels. Okay, so 50 by 50 pixels. Click create a new design. And then over here, we have icons. So go ahead to elements and then just search for icon. Okay, so icon like this. There you go. We have this particular icon that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go for graphics and let me search for check icon. So we have a lot of different ones. Now this one will do the job. Make it bigger like so. You can even change its color to the same color of the background of the website by going back here. Click this color or click here, click this, and then you have the color here. So I can click that and get the code of it. I can come back like this. And now I can come here and change this from black to blue. And when I want to download this, I need to download it as an SVG like this, which is a premium feature. Okay, so you can't use this unless you have the premium Canva membership. But otherwise, you can just use the SVGs from the icon library or upload your own. Now right here, the list says, or the item number 1 here says, base 100 plus basic pro widgets. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and then I'm just going to paste it there. So I'm going to click on my element here, and here is where you change the title, paste, And in order to change the styling, click Style, and then let's come back here. Now you can modify the space between the icon and the text. Well, I'm not interested in that. You can even add a divider between them. In this case, I don't want to. And here I'm going to come and modify the color of the icon to make it blue. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to click this button here because this button contains the color of the that we need. And you can see that this bug has come back again. This bug is following us, you know, and we really have nothing to do but just to keep it there. So I'm going to click here and let me go to my icon in the style section here. Now we have the color and just paste that color. Now, in fact, when you hover over these elements, nothing happens. So let's leave it like that. Now, as far as the size, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because you can see there on the other website here that the icon is not that small, right? The icon is pretty consistent. I'm going to make it like that and leave it. So here, when it comes to the text, I'm going to select the text and take my font inspector, click on it, click again. It's 16 DM Sans 500. All right, so I'm going to click the typography. Over here, it should be DM Sans, and the size of it should be 16. All right, so here, if I go back, should be 16. Should be 500 in terms of width or in terms of text strength. And then here, the font color is black, but I'm going to copy the RGB code to get it right. Now over here, I think it's just normal, so there's maybe we can use the capitalize normal, decoration none, and then let me come here to the text color, change this to the color. Right now, all I have to do is to click on this element, which is this particular container, and I want to organize my container from top to bottom. Now, you can see here it is already organized from top to bottom. So right now, if I duplicate, it will duplicate in this order. Now, the reason why you want to make sure that the container is organized from top to bottom is that because if you don't do that, and if you duplicate, let me show you what's going to happen. So if I click the container, and if I go, for example, and position it from here, change the direction from left to right. Right now, if I do duplicate, look what happens. The element or the heading will be added in the same line, in line with your other element. And that's not what we want. We want the elements to be vertically aligned. So I'm going to come back here and change it back to column vertical. And then now I can duplicate this as much as I want. Duplicate this one. I can duplicate this one as well. And all I have to do right now is to come back here and copy the text and paste it. I'm going to click on this first one here. I'm going to come back here and just paste. Or there's another alternative that you can do, is that you can actually click this thing here, and in the content, you can just duplicate this and add your text to it, except for there's only one issue with this, and that's the distance, but you can also change that by coming over here and spacing between them. So maybe I'm going to do that instead of duplicating each and every one of them. I'm going to do this instead. So right now I'm going to just go ahead over here, and now that I put a distance, I'm going to duplicate this one another time, and I'm going to take this. Now over here you notice that there is an information. Unfortunately, I can't do this, but you can actually check out with ChatGPT if it can write the CSS for you for that. Now because I don't really see that it is very important to have, I'm just going to bypass it for now. Now I'm going to look at the results and see if I need to add more distance. I think I need to add a little bit more, just a little bit more distance between the elements on this list because I can see that they're not so well distanced. So I'm going to come in here and just add a little bit of distance. Yeah, that just sounds fine. And so now I'm going to go ahead and delete these other containers because you guessed it, I'm just going to take this container here and duplicate it and then duplicate it another time. All right, duplicate it more times. So WooCommerce Store Builder, come back here, take this, remove this text, and paste this. And then I'm going to come back to the next one here, Landing Page Builder. I'm going to click on it again, change this to landing page builder, and then the next one here is pop-up builder. So I'm going to make sure I change the last one to pop-up builder. And then over here, it's form builder, marketing tools, and premium support. Click here, paste, form builder, marketing tools. Right? I'm pretty sure this is boring, but trust me, this is web development. It's not going to be fun all the time. You're not going to be doing funny stuff. So here, I'm going to click the theme builder, which is the last element, change it to this. But you can see that right now, if I visualize this, all this stuff is cramped up. There must be a distance, or there must be some padding that we need to add. So we can add some padding here. So I can click back. We can do this very easily. I can click on the entire container now, and I can go to advanced here and make sure that these values are linked. We can add a padding of 50, maybe even 60 across the board. And so right now, if we visualize this, it will look much better, right? And it looks really similar, except for we have one issue here, and that is that these things are not displayed all centered. So I'm going to click on my entire column here, and I'm going to check one thing, layout. Let's distance space in between, make them centered. And let's check out right now what this looks like. All right, so now it looks a little bit better, right? But normally we should have all of them in one line, and I've already done that here. So if I click this, I've actually already done this. So if you look at it from this perspective, I've already done it once. So I'm gonna just duplicate this. I'm gonna duplicate the style of this particular container and put it there. I'm going to take this container style, whatever this style is. I'm going to copy, come back over here, and then click, paste style. And so now you can see that it changed. Now, maybe it was because the padding that we added wasn't consistent. So if you want to change this, or if you want to make it as this, like this, make sure that the padding is not added in the right and the left-hand side, because as far as I checked, when you add padding from the right and the left-hand side, it kind of ruins the alignment of these elements. And normally I think this should do just fine. So now we have added this section as well. Let's go ahead and add another section. We're going to distance it with a spacer. So I'm going to come here, plus, and I'm going to come here as well and add a spacer. A spacer like this, and I'm going to add my element here from top to bottom as well. And I'm just going to add one, maybe just one text editor. Okay, so just one text editor. I'm going to take this entire text and come back here, paste this stuff. Okay, and this stuff should be centered, right? And I'm going to go, and after a second thought, I think the text editor will do poorly. So I'd probably go for the heading instead. All right, so sorry for the inconvenience there, but I'm just going to go for the heading instead. I'm going to paste my stuff here, and let's see now. Okay, I'm going to have to do two headings. So I'm going to duplicate this one here. But first off, let me just get it right before we duplicate it. So I'm going to go here, paste just this part, and then I'm going to come to the font inspector, click down here, click again. Now the size is 16 pixels, 400 DM sans as usual. Typography here, 16 DM sans, and then over here we have a font weight of 400 sans serif. Okay, RGB 84 is the color. So first off here, let's see the other elements. 25.6 in terms of line height. All right, so 25.6. And then here, let's click on the content, make sure it's centered. It is. Come back here, change the color like this. Now the color was changed. And then what else? Nothing else. Okay, so all that's left is to just duplicate this element. And I'm going to take this text from here and copy paste it here, as well as add a little bit of margin. I'm going to click my element here and then come here at the top. I'm going to add a minus margin to get them closer together, like so. All right, so this is good. All right, so we finished this off. So right now let's move on. Let's see what else do we got. First off, let me click here, unclick the font. Then here it gets a little bit tricky. I want your full concentration because this is not as easy as the other ones. It's not that difficult, but it's not as easy as well. So here, I'm going to click a plus button. I'm going to add a container, but first off, I'm going to add a separate or spacer here, and I'm going to make it consistent like this. I'm going to make it bigger. Update now. All right, so we've added our spacer, and then now we're going to go ahead. We already have a particular one here that I've already done. So I'm going to add a container with 4 containers inside of it. So let me come back here and click the plus button here. Let's add this stuff. Okay, so that's our first container. So right now, the first container, we're going to add a heading here. And on top of the heading, we're going to add an image. And then again here, I think there's another heading, right? So I'm going to come here and go to this particular heading and just duplicate it. Now let's start with the text first because that's the easiest thing. I'm going to copy this text, click here on this heading and paste it. Now we've pasted our text, and then right now let's come back here, click the font inspector and click here to see what kind of font is this. 14700 DM Sans. Right, so style, typography, 14, and then here DM Sans, and then here weight is 700, and then if I scroll down here, font color RGB 0000. But first off here, let's see, the line height is 16.8, and it's centered. Right, so here I'm just going to make everything else normal, and none. And then here I'm going to come, the text color I've already copied it, I'm going to paste it here. Okay, and then that's it. So I'm going to center the content. So I'm going to click on my element here, go to content, center. That's it. So next thing is this. So I'm going to copy it first. Right, so let me come here, click my next heading, paste. So right now, let's center this and let's go to style it. So here, when it comes to the style, we have a 14 pixels in terms of font size. Let's come back here, typography, 14. And over here, we have a font weight of 400. Right, so 400. And then we have DM Sans, that's the family, DM Sans. That's good. And then we have the color. The font color is RGB 0000. Let me come back here. First off here, I'm going to just capitalize in style normal, decoration none. We still didn't add the line height, 22.4. 22.4. And the text color is this one. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a print screen of this image. Now, because I already have taken a print screen of it, I'm not going to do it again. But what I advise you to do is to take this image like this. Make sure you click it. So I'm going to click this, click the image. And then I'm going to take my page ruler and just measure the image off. Measure the size. So this size, I think, is, in terms of height, is 197. And width is 200. So let's say it's 200 by 200 pixels. And then you need to come back here to Canva and create a new design with a custom size of 200 by 200. That's it. Click create a new design. So right now we have our Canva design here. And then you need to upload from your computer the image after you take a print screen of it. Now, how do you take a print screen? Well, there are different ways to take a print screen on your computer. I just went ahead and taken a print screen, and this is the result. Now, I take this image, and in Canva, there is a property which is I can edit the image and remove the background off of it. So this is what I do. I'm going to remove the background. And then after you remove the background, you need to go to Elements and search for a frame right? So search for a frame. Now here we have different frames, but I'm going to choose one. And then here, if you look back at the website, at the Elementor website, let me just click here. Now the frame is like this, and it has a green surface or a green inside, right? Now that green color, we can also inspect it. So if I click back here, now this is my first image. I can click here and click on the colors, click the plus button, click this, and I can find out exactly the color, right? So this is the exact color of the background. Now that I have the code, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy the code, make sure that I have it, and now I can remove it, right? I can just remove the color, and I can come here to elements, and let's search for something similar. Now, of course, frames are limited, so you're definitely not gonna find the same things, but if you do, you're a lucky person. Now in this case, I'm just gonna go with this one here, and I'm gonna click on it, change its color to this. And so right now, if I add my persona, now normally the color should stay the same, but in this case, there is a bug, and this has been happening to me for quite some time now, but I have a way around this, and I can show you how I do that. Even though it's not the most perfect solution out there, but I have a simple way around this. And that is to make this bigger, like this. And then I take the image, make another try. If it doesn't work, I just take this, position it backward, and now my image is inside. But even though it's not completely inside, but I can do that. Or I can move the image like this and make this image bigger, but after I crop, of course. Let me just crop this stuff, make the image bigger. I'll click on Control, put the image here, and make sure that you move everything now, and I have my image now. But since I already have these images in my media library, I'm not gonna go ahead and recreate each and every one of them, but I've shown you how you can recreate each and every one of them using these frames. Now there are different types of frames. For example, this one here is a circular frame, and I'm pretty sure you can find it down here very easily, right? There are a lot of circular frames that look like an egg, for example, this one here or this one here. So there's a lot you can use. Now, because I already have this image, I'm just going to click on the image, and I'm going to use my media library. I'm going to click here just to show you. Go to Style, click on Content here, choose the image. Okay, so let's go to the media library, and this is the picture. It's somewhere here, so let me scroll down here. This is the one I'm looking for, Insert. Now, it's not the same as this one. I'll try to change a little bit, so that's it. And then here, I'm going to duplicate whatever I've done here on another container. So I'm going to delete one, and then take this container as it is and just duplicate it and change its position to the middle, like so. So now it's here. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to put it here. Put it here between those. Hopefully it will work. Okay, so right now it is working. So I'm going to click on this element. Now I'm going to change its image, choose from my media library. The image is that of this guy over here. So I already have his image, even though it's in green frame, but let's just keep it at that. And I'm going to take this title, click here and place it here. And then I'm just going to do the same thing with this, copy, and click here and paste. Now you can see that these are not aligned. So this one is actually pretty bigger. So how do we achieve this effect? Well, first of all, notice that the background here is different from this background over here. Now I'm going to click my spacer here, just tone it down a little bit, make it smaller like this. And then I'm going to click on this container. I'm going to go to Style, and then I'm going to go here to the background. I'm going to change it to a grayish color like this. You can see that that's quite how it is. I'm going to maybe just reduce the gray, make it kind of like this, just like this a little bit. And I think this is better. We can see the difference between both. And one last thing I think is we should make these closer. So I'm going to click on this element here. I'm going to go to Advanced Margin, and at the top I'm going to make it a negative margin of minus 20. 20 is too much, I feel like. So minus 15, let's try with minus 15. I think that's better. I'm going to click on this element and copy paste its style. All right. So right now I'm going to click the first one. I'm going to go to advanced. Make sure that you click on the container. Uncheck the margins. And at the top, let's add a negative margin like this, so that we can move the element to the top and the image with it. So you can see that the image is kind of moving a little bit to the top, and that's exactly what we want. And we're going to give the image an animation, because if you come back to the Elementor website, you'd see that there is a pulse. We call it a pulse animation. I'll show you that in a second. I'm just going to have to make sure that this is in the middle between both. All right, so I think this is good. All right, we've achieved it. That's cool. So here, if I move my page, you can see that this kind of moves a little bit. This entire one moves, this entire container. As opposed to it, this one doesn't move. So how do we achieve this? I'm going to click on this container. Let's go to advanced here and motion effects. And then here we have entrance animation. Now the entrance animation, I'm going to choose a bouncing in. Well, this is not exactly the one. So maybe let's look for maybe bounce. I think this one is good, but not really that good. Pulse. All right, let's see. Is this a pulse? No, it's actually bounce. It moves. It kind of moves from the top to the bottom. Let's look for a good animation that will fit this. So bounce down, maybe bounce down. Bounce in, down. No, not really. Slide in, down. Well, even that is not good. Bounce. Well, after all, I'm just going to go with bounce. I didn't find anything better than that. And so now if I click here, if I go to the top, or let me just first of all complete this. So I'm going to click on this element here and go to advanced. In the margin here, I'm going to uncheck the values and then the minus. I'm going to add maybe a minus 50, maybe minus more. So maybe I'm going to try minus 60. Click here, minus 70. Let's try minus 70 and see how does it work. Well, still, so I'm going to have to add more and more, because remember that they have to be juxtaposed. But this one should be a little bit at the top. The other one is at the bottom. Right, so we have our little difference in terms of distance there. Okay, so this one is good to me. And so now what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and visualize this, because I want you to see the animation. Right, so I'm going to click preview changes. This will open a new page in a new tab. And then we can go ahead and visualize this very peculiar animation that, of course, adds all the difference in the world. Now, of course, here we still have much to go. So we're going to continue doing that in the next lecture. See you there. All right, so let's complete this. And over here, if I check, let's see how this is going. Now, if I refresh the page, just so you can see the animation that we have created together, which looks awesome, by the way. I'm just going to wait for the page to refresh now for us to be able to see that. And if I scroll down, you can see that there is an animation there for this particular one. Now here, we're going to do something pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to create a new section, right? Or a new container. I always mix up the sections with containers. And this time, this container should have 5. Now, I'm going to duplicate this very container, right? And I'm going to take it and drag and drop it over here. Right, so drag and drop it over here. And I'm going to change its position, put it at the end, like so. All right, now you can see where I'm going right now. Now, I'm going to take this little lady, but first off here, I'm going to click this element. I'm going to take this lovely lady here and put her photo here. But first off, I'm going to click this element here, and I'm going to click on the color, because we want the same color for both containers. I'm going to click here, and let me come back to style, background type, background color, paste. And that's it. Now over here, I'm going to take this particular text. I'm pretty sure I can copy it. Right, let's try somewhere else. Now I can't copy the text. Right. Well, finally I could. I'm going to click here and add it. Right. Add the text here. And then I'm going to take this title and simply click here and add her name. Okay, that's wonderful. Now we just have to add the lovely lady's image. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to choose image from the computer. Now I already have went ahead and created an image for each and every one of them. And this is the image. Insert. So now we have the image inserted. What's left for us to do is to add these elements. We need to add a counter, or at least in this case, 3 counters. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and look for a counter, and so should you. Now this is the counter. I'm going to place one here, and let's go back here. Now I'm going to click the font inspector, choose this. The font size is 80 pixels. I'm going to go to style, typography, size 80 pixels. Style is, what is the style? It's actually sans serif. Well, I'm just going to use a Roboto or Poppins. Let's try Roboto first. Roboto, I think Roboto would do good. And then here, in terms of the width, 700 in weight. So it's pretty big. And then if I scroll down here, the font color should be RGB 72, 48, 130. But first of all here, let's see. The line height is 80. I'm going to scroll down here to the line height, give it a height of 80. And then let me go to the text color and change it to text color like this. Now I think also this one needs to change. So I'm going to click the title here, text color like this. First off, let's click this one here and let's see what kind of font is this. This is the same thing. I don't think this is Roboto. Maybe we can use another font. I'm going to try with Poppins. But the font size here is 24. Right, so I'm going to click the typography here. Font size 24. And okay, so here the font weight is 700. 700. And in terms of the RGB color, we already added that. The line height is 28.8. 28.8. We're going to transform it into capitalize, style normal, decoration none, and that's it. Now let's see the distance in between them. I think we have the same distance. Maybe we can add a little more distance later, but I don't think it's necessary actually. But so I'm going to go here to content now, and here it should say, according to this, it should say 12 million plus. So in here I'm going to add 12 million. And then the number of the suffix, I'm going to add million plus. So you can see now that we have added the 12 million plus number, which is a cool number. Now I'm going to click on my entire container and I want to center the content here. So I'm going to go to layout, space between, center, so that it's put in the middle. And then over here, I'm going to center as well. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these two. Delete this first one. Delete this second one. And I'm just going to duplicate this one here 2 times. Duplicate and then duplicate once more. Now you can see that they're pretty cramped up. So how do we solve this issue? Well, I'm going to go back a little bit in time to the first duplicate like this. And I'm going to click this element, go to advanced and add a little bit of margin on the right hand side. Maybe we can add 20. And so now if I duplicate this with no problem, there's going to be space all the time between them. Now maybe 20 space is too much, but let's see. I'm going to duplicate it another time. Now in this case, you can see that these are not really doing well. So I'm going to click the second one or the first one here. I'm going to go to the right hand side here, maybe add 30. Let's try with 40. And let's come back here to this, advanced, and let's try 40 margin. I'm going to click on the entire container here and add some padding. So I'm going to come here to padding, maybe add 20. 50. The padding only made it worse. So if I click here, these are all, well, not bad. I think I'm going to keep it like this. I'm just going to make the padding a little bit bigger. Not the padding, I'm actually going to make the margins a little bit bigger. So I'm going to click this one here. And in terms of the margin, I'm going to make it 60 this time. This one, I'm going to make it 60 as well. This one, I'm going to click it again and make it another 60. But if you notice, we have to change this. So I'm going to come here to the next counter. Instead of 12, it should say 6.5K. Like this. So I think this is better. And K plus. Now, when it comes to the other one, it's 140K. Click that. 140 and K plus. K plus. All right. So close this one down here. And then here we have this text is community members, and the other one is 5-star rating. So I'm going to click here, and instead of cool number, I'm going to say paste community members, paste 5-star ratings. Click this one here. And the other one here is websites. So I'm going to click here and add it. And so if I just visualize how this will look like in real time, I think this looks a little bit overwhelmed, especially because this one here kind of moved. So what we can do, we can actually move this one a little bit here on the side. So maybe if I click this thing here, I'm going to have to move it a little bit, but how do I, sometimes this can't be done. Well, if I do this like this, now I'm pretty sure it's solved, but let's see. Let's look at this for now, hoping that it changed. Well, it did, but still we have the same issue. So maybe if we remove the padding, this will solve the problem. So I'm going to go ahead to the padding of the container. I click the container, click here, go back here to content padding, remove it. And I think that the padding was the element that caused this. So let's see now. Well, still. So I'm going to try ahead with maybe changing this distance like this. And you can see that if I click now, they should be aligned. Well, still. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just click this element here and maybe change its distance, maybe to 30 instead of 60. 30 instead of 60. Well, on the right hand side, let's remove this, and on the left hand side, let's see now. Right, so still, so maybe I'm going to go ahead here, minus this time, even though I think it's going to be the same thing, minus 40. All right, so after all, if it didn't work, I'm just going to go ahead over here and change the size. We go to style, typography. Instead of 80, let's change it to 60. And so now let's copy this and copy and paste style all across. Paste style, and then paste style over here as well. Okay, and so now this should move. So if I check this now, still they're not in line, but it's because we've added a difference between them. So I'm going to come here, remove this right, and then from this side as well, click, and then remove this from the right hand side, and then from this side as well. Let's see now. All right, so let's check. All right, so this is better. It's not the best, but absolutely this is much better now. So what we can do, we can take this back as it was here. Now normally they should be, because there are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we should have 20% each, like this. Normally they should be uniform now. Right, and I can do something else. Perhaps we can move this element, but the problem is I can't touch it. So if I just have a handle over it like this, let's see right now. So this is all polishing the page. Now, it's definitely not going to be exactly as we want it to be. So, but I'm pretty optimistic about what we've produced so far. But you can see over here that at the top, we've missed to add this element. So we can actually add that pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead and, right, I'm going to have to add another section here that points to the bottom. And then we're going to change its color to this very same color. I'm going to go to advanced here. Not advanced, but style. Come here, take the color, and then copy the color and just paste it down here. Right, so copy, come back to style here, click here again, and then paste. Right, and so here inside, I'm going to add a heading. So I'm going to add a heading. I take this one here, place it here, duplicate it, paste, enter in the middle, and then I'm going to take the font inspector and just take this one. It's 18700 DM Sans. Right, so 18 in size, DM Sans in font, 700 in terms of font weight, and the color RGB 000. It's 21.6 and uppercase, transform uppercase, style normal, decoration none, 21.6. Okay, and then come here to RGB color, add this one here. All right, so I've added my color. Now I can click the entire element here, or the entire column, the entire container, and I'm going to come back here to advanced, unlink the margins, and at the bottom here I'm going to add a minus margin or a positive margin, but I'm afraid something might happen here that will destroy our design. Well, no. Well, actually, I can click on this element and give it a Z index of 10. So right now it overlaps, and then I'm going to click on this element here, this container, and I'm going to give it a Z index of 20. I have to click it. Well, okay, so here I'm going to do it back here because I want to click on this element. I don't know, I can't click it. This is a problem here. It sucks. So click the entire container. I need to access it. I'm going to use the navigator because I can't access it this way. And so this navigator here, okay, so this one has a container with an image, heading, right? So counter, container, right? So as a matter of fact, I'm going to click this one here, go to advanced, and when it comes to the Z index, I'm going to give it a Z index of 20, okay? And I'm going to click this one here, the entire container, and I'm going to go to advanced here and give it a Z index of 10. And that's it. We solved the issue. So I'm just going to keep going with the minus up until here, and we're going to stop. Update. Let's come back here. Now I can see that there is a little bit of a distance right here. So a way that we can do this is by clicking here and by adding a top margin of 50. But as you can see here, it added a gap, a white gap, and that's not what we want. So how do we change that? We can click plus, add a new section or new container, and this container should have the color of the container before it, right? But we're going to add a spacer inside of that very container. So I'm going to go to style here. I'm going to click on background type, change this to this, and I'm going to go and click here and take a spacer, drag and drop it here. That's even better. I'm going to add a little bit more space, and you can see that we've made it better. So now I can come here and wait for this to just refresh, or just click here and preview changes. And I'm going to see you in the next lecture where we're going to go ahead and complete creating this lovely website. This time we're going to have to create this. So I'm going to start by adding a spacer here. Then I'm going to take this one here and just duplicate it because it's the same one. Except for this time, you can see that this one, this image over here, is the one that is not aligned, or is the one that is over aligned with this image. So see you in the next lecture where we're going to go ahead and continue on. So there's not much left. I assume there would be about an hour and a half left for us. But still, this is very interesting, and you will learn a lot of stuff about Elementor, about how to use Elementor to create a website, to create a duplicate. Now, one thing we shouldn't forget is the menu should be a sticky header. So because you can see that when you scroll on the original page, the menu kind of follows you up across the page, and we need to achieve that. And I can show you how to achieve that because I already have achieved it here. If I scroll down, you can see that the menu follows. So see you in the next lecture where we're going to go ahead and complete this. All right, welcome back. So right now, like I said, I'm going to take this very container and I'm going to duplicate it. So duplicate, and then I'm going to take them, just drag and drop them like so, here, underneath this one. All right, so the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another container like this. I'm going to click the plus button, plus, or in other words, because I already have this container here, I'm going to duplicate this existing one by doing this. It's this simple. So I'm going to take this one now, drag and drop it, put it in the middle between these two, and widen the space. So I'm going to click my spacer, add a little bit more space. And you can see that that kind of added a little bit more space there. Let's just check here to see what kind of space are we talking about. So yeah, it's almost exactly the same as the space that we've added. And so now what I want to do is I want to take this one here, this container, drag and drop it here in between those. And well, here the problem is that it just dragged the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to make sure that I select the entire container, drag and drop it like this. That should do it. You can still see the bug here. And I'm going to take this one here and just drag and drop it. No, not the image. Keep the image. I want the entire container. And drag and drop it here at the beginning. All right, so you can see now how this kind of unfolds. I'm going to come here and take this title. Click here and paste it instead of this one. And then I'm going to come here to this title as well and just copy it. And click here and just paste it, right? Now, as far as the photo is concerned, I already have it, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to choose image, and I'm going to choose an image of this lovely lady that I've already have created a picture for. Now, click, and here. Now, over here, I'm going to go. Now, you can see that the thing here is that the pictures are quite transparent, so that's the reason why they're great. Now the only one here, the only image left is the image of the guy. So I'm going to go here to Media Library, look for that specific image. Right, so it's here. Click, and it was added. Now here I'm going to change this one because I didn't forget that I need to change this one as well. So I'm going to click here, paste, come back here, take this title, and click here and change it as well. Now you can see that I've made a mistake here. I've copied the URL of this. So I'm going to come back here and copy the text. Click back here, paste. That's it. So right now we've created this section as well, except for this time, this section should be white. Or at least it should be in the same color as the other sections or other containers. I'm always making the mistake there because I'm so used to sections. I'm going to click here. Click style and then take this color, copy, come back here, and then here, I'm going to click this container. This time I got it right. And I'm going to click here on color and paste. There you go. So you can see that we're going well right now. So now I'm going to go ahead and add a new container. Now, from top to bottom, click here. Because we already have the color, so I'm going to make use of this, paste the color. Now, even if I paste the color here I've already have added it. If you remember, I already have added the color to the CSS. So here in the CSS code, I've added this piece of code that says body, background color, and I specified the background color that they should use by default. You can override the background color, but you'd have to do it manually, or you'd have to change the background color of the entire website. Now over here, we have an image, we have an award-winning platform, and we have, so 2 headings and an image in a container. So I'm going to add 2 headings and an image in one container. Let's start with the image first. Now, I already have an image here in the media library. If you're thinking, or if you want to know how I was able to get this image, it's as usual, it's Canva. Okay, so go to Canva. But first off, take your measurements by using the page ruler. Take the measurements. Check out how big this is. Now here it says 197 pixels by 55. Go to Canva, create a new design, like so. I'm going to do it for you. Well, click here and custom size. So I'm going to do 200 by 60 because 197 and 57, there's not much difference. And so here, look for stars. Look for 5 stars in the elements, and you'll find plenty of images that you can use. Right, 5 stars. And so here in graphics, you're going to have a bunch of them. Now, if you're using the free version of Canva, you can use free images all you want. Mostly I can see here that all of these images are paid. So you'd have to have the paid version of Canva. But nonetheless, keep looking because you might find some free images. For example, this one is free. You can use it even if you have the free version of Canva. And my assumption is that you can change just these colors. Change this one to white. Change this one, like this one here as well, to maybe white. And you will have stars, right? These are completely free for you to be used by you, right? In my case, I have already downloaded my stars. So I'm just going to use them as they are, make them centered. And then I just forgot one thing here for organization purposes. I'm going to click on the other containers and make sure that the content is centered. So I'm going to click here. Make sure that this is spaced between and centered right here as well. Make sure that if I click this container, not this one, this one. Now it should be in the layout, should be spaced between and centered. And then this one here as well. So if it doesn't, I'm going to click on it like this. Or use the navigator, because sometimes if you're not able to click on a container, go to the navigator and then look for that specific container. Now here I know which container I'm looking for. It's actually this one. So here, or this one, all right, this one. And so I can come here to layout and it's already centered. Okay, so that's perfect. Let's do it for the other ones as well. Here, this one here, let's see if the layout is centered. So I'm going to come here, space between, center. That's correct. Now, the other ones, let's see if they are as well. Go to layout here, space between, center. Well, in fact, let's remove that because this one should be in line. And okay, so I think we've done a pretty good job of organizing this stuff. So right now, let's come back to our buttons. Now here, we have a star and we have heading. So I'm going to copy this headline, come back here, click on my column or my container and come here and add a header. Now in that header, I'm going to add this content. Well, actually messed up there. So I'm going to just take this out, copy this one, paste. And in here, I'm going to center it, come to style, click here, click the font inspector, click here, click again, 32 in size, 700 in weight, right? So 32 in size, 700 in weight. And then here, the font color is RGB 0000, 3 times. But the font is pretty hard. So let me try with maybe Poppins. Let's see how Poppins works out. All right, Poppins, I guess Poppins will work out just fine here, unless you want to change it. Now here you can see that transform should be normal. not capitalized, not anything else. And here in style, normal as well, and decoration, none. Line height, let's see what line height that is 44.8. That's cool. Click here. Okay. Now, as far as the text color is concerned, I already copied it, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to paste just that. And that's it. All right. We have it. Okay. And so right now, let me go back and see here. So we have another heading. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this heading. And then instead of the content, I'm going to add this one. But let me see what kind of font is this. So I'm going to click my font inspector. Click back. Click here. Click again. It's 20 pixels. Normal 400. Right. That's the only thing. 20 pixels. Normal 400. And as far as the color is concerned, it's not the same. So I'm going to copy the exact color that they want. Come back here. Text. Paste the color. So you can see that here it just looks cool, right? Right. So I think that's kind of cool. Now here, the distance between these two headlines should be lesser, I guess. If I click, let me see how this looks in real time. All right, so I should just add a little bit of distance, a negative distance between this one and this one. So I'm going to click here on my heading, go to advanced, and then here in terms of margin, the top margin, I'm going to add a minus 20 and update. Now, in order to not make this stuff cramped up, I'm going to click the plus button, not the plus button, I'm going to click these 6 dots, go to advanced, and here I'm going to go to padding and add maybe 50 padding, something like that, and update. All right, so we're getting close now. Now over here, we have these 5 or 6 images to be precise. Now here you can take these screenshots of these images and you can use a very powerful tool called Paint, which goes way back with the internet. So it's one of the best tools out there. And you can take a print screen and just do like this, paste this, and you can take image by image, like I did. Right? You can take this image, you can give it a name, download it in your computer. Now, if you want to remove the background of that image, you can come to Canva, like I've shown you. You can remove the background from it. And if you want to get the measurements right, click on the background ruler or the page ruler, and get the measurements here. It says that the height should be 133 pixels and the width is 125. Now, because I already have these images, welcome back in this lecture in which we're going to go ahead and create the FAQ. So in order to create the FAQ, what I want you to use is this very typical toggle element in the Elementor menu. So I'm going to go here to my page and let's add a brand new one or brand new container that goes from top to bottom. And then let's go over here to the containers and let's look for toggle. Right, toggle. This is the one. Click the plus button. And then over here, you can see that the toggle, if I add it, it's not similar to this one. How can we make it similar? First things first, remove this one. Second thing is click this one here. But first off, let's go to icons and let's use the media library. Now the icon that we want is, I'll go to all icons and look for plus or plus like this. This is the icon I'm looking for. So normally when it is inactive, we should see the plus button. And when it is active, we should be the negative button because that tells us that you can reduce this by clicking here. Now here, I'm going to go to the active icon, look for the icons in the media library, or you can upload your own icons the same way. I'm going to look for minus, and then here we have this one. I like this one, so I'm going to click it. And not just because I like it, but because here in the page, they have added it, the plus minus. Now we can control the size of it later, but now let's just leave it as it is. Now in here, I'm going to go here and spy using the font inspector. I'm going to spy on this. So I'm going to click the font inspector, select this. Now font size is 20 pixels. Now I'm going to use here, go to style, the title, The font size is here in the typography is 20. It should be 400 pixels. And in what color? It's RGB00, which means black. Now here, 28 in terms of line height. Okay, so 28. Here, we're not really sure what kind of font are they using, so that's why I'm going to use my own font. I'm going to go back and take inspiration from the other website that I built. I'm just going to use the Sans, right? So because the fonts that they're using on their website are not available to us. Now over here, right, so if I click, pretty sure something is off. Right, so here it says click back here, click here, let's click back, click back. Now it's 700 in terms of weight, so I'm going to change it to 700, like so. And right, so let me scroll down here. The font color is black, so I'm going to change it, come back here to the style, title, the color, change it to black, like so. And then I'm going to copy this entire text, come back over here, go back to content, click here, and the toggle title, I'm going to change it to this, right? Now here, if I click, let's first of all reduce this. If I click here, this is the text inside. I can just copy this entire text, like so, come back here, remove this lorem ipsum text, and paste my text down here. But I'm going to have to go to style, go to content, and then over here, when it comes to the content, I'm going to keep it the same way, except for it's not going to be bold. So 20 in size, the Sans, and in terms of line height, 20 or maybe 28. And here, when it comes to transform, normal, style, normal, decoration, none. Let me come back over there. And then here, the color is what is going to be different. So I'm going to click this, click here. Let's see the color, RGB 33, 33, 33. So I'm going to come back here, content color, and paste my color, right? So we have created the first one, except for you can see over here that the minus icon is on the right-hand side. So how can we achieve that? Well, the answer to that question is very simple. So I'm going to come back to my local environment. I want you to click on the icon, and in the alignment here, click here to align it at the end. So right now, if I come back here, you can see my icon. Now the color, you can change the color of it as well. Now the color of the icon is also RGB 33. I'm going to paste my color here, and you can see that right now, right, active color is this. I don't know why it didn't change. Well, let me click here again. Or in other words, let me just try to make it grayish, like this. Trying to make it grayish. That's it. And so here you can add more spacing. They're already spaced as it is, but you can add more. And then here the content is done. If I click on the toggle border width, now you can make it, add a little bit more border if you want, but I'm not going to add any border here. And the space between, you can make it whatever you like. I think this is good. So now I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this very first one. Click here. And I'm going to change each and every one of them. So the next one here, I'm going to come back here, copy this text, come back here, and then just paste. Now this is just an operation of copy paste. Now I'm going to click copy this as well, come back here. Make sure that I remove the entire text inside, paste. Now over here we have discrepancy, which is that this should be in blue. So similarly here, I'm going to pick the Elementor account, copy, or just click on it. And then over here, I'm going to come to text color and change it to this one. Click on link to link it. So let's link it to something. like this. And let's see now if this changed anything. All right, so you can see that the color has changed, except for we need to do it for this one as well. Change the color, right, that's fine. Now you can see that pretty much this is cool, except for we've pretty much done a fatal error. Right, that's cool, sorry. So I'm gonna go back here and duplicate the other toggle item another time. Now for this particular one, this is the content. And so I'm just gonna continue pasting the content, and that's it. So this one here, copy, come back here, remove this one, paste. Now sometimes the text might not appear at first due to a bug, but just continue on, right? So I'm gonna just continue on. I'm gonna come here, copy this, come back here, paste it here, and then I'm gonna come back here, copy this, and then I'm gonna come back here, paste this inside, paste, okay? Now, like I said, the text doesn't appear, but this is majorly due to a bug, and that's beyond my own technicality or my own skills. I'm gonna click here and just continue on by adding more and more. Click here, just modify this. Or if you want, you can decide to add the text yourself. Just write it down yourself. Now here we accept all major card credits, right? That's the text that says here, paste. And then the last one is this one. Do you offer a free trial? Right, there is no free trial, right? Paste. Let's come back here and then copy, come back, paste, and that's it. So right now we have created our entire FAQ, except for here there is a distance from left and right. So we're gonna have to go and add that. Now I'm gonna go here and click on my entire container. And then down here in the advanced options, I'm gonna go there and unlink the values. I'm gonna add a 50 padding at the right hand side and 50 padding at the left hand side. And here if I click, you can see that this is pretty good. This is exactly how it looks like here. Well, not that much exact, but it's definitely good. Now over here, there's some distance at the top. So I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna click and add some margin at the top. So I'm gonna unlink values together, and at the top, I'm gonna add 30 margin, update. So now it is better. So we're gonna have to go ahead right now and click or create this entire new container, which is not difficult to produce. First off, I'm gonna take a print screen of this, even though I already have this image, but I'm gonna have to go and inspect this image's color using Canva. Now here, paste. If I click this element, let me just try modify the colors, and no, it doesn't work from here. Well, let me go to Canva here. So I'm gonna go to Canva, uploads. I've already uploaded this image somewhere, so I'm gonna click here, click here, click here, and then click here, and there you go. I have my color. So I'm gonna take that color, copy, come back here. I'm gonna create a new column or a new container from top to bottom. Click on the container, go to style, and I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna change this color to green. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and click here, and then I'm gonna add a heading. Now this heading should be white, but I think if I'm correct, if I'm a good designer, normally this heading should be the same size and the same stuff as this one, except for the color should be different. So I'm gonna go to the top here, and I'm gonna copy this one's style, copy, and then scroll down, and then come back here and then click on this one here from here and paste style, except for the text color should be white. And then I'm going to come here and to the website, scroll down and copy the entire text. Come back, click here, go to content, paste. You can see there what I'm talking about. Now, as far as the button is concerned, I'm going to create a new button from scratch. But to keep things consistent, I'm going to go and take a button from the top. I'm going to duplicate it. For example, this one. Duplicate. And I'm going to take it. Well, I'm going to just have to go back because I made the button smaller. I'm going to click the button and then drag and drop it like so. Well, it should work. Right, so here. Well, I'm going to try something else here. I'm going to just delete this button. And I'm going to come back here, copy it, copy the button, scroll down, and then click here on this column, the container itself. Or instead, I have another way, which is I can take a button, drag and drop it here, and then click paste style. Center the button, and then I can just change the font here. So here I have the green color, so I'm going to click on this, go to style, go to the color, copy the color. I'm going to come back here. Well, actually, let me just go back a little bit in time. All right, click back here, and I want to get this green color, but I want to make it lighter for the button. So let's go back here. Let's see if the button has a hover effect. It does have a hover effect. So get started. So I'm going to click here. And in terms of the style, text color, normally the text color here is green, in the same green color of the background. Right, you can see it there. And the background color is also green, but just lighter. Like so, right? I could get the exact color if I wanted to by just coming here to Canva, and that's a better approach if you ask me. And I can just make this bigger, like this. Just crop this stuff, take this here, and then I can just click here and click here and then click here and then click here and click here, and I get the exact same color. Then I can come back here and click on this button and paste. That's the exact same color. And I can also get the exact same color on hover. So I can hover over the button, take a print screen, come back here, paste it here, and then I can take it, make it the unique one. Let's download this one on my computer, give it a name, maybe JJ1. Let's come back to Canva now. Now this is just if you want to perfect your job. You can choose your own colors, but if you want to get this to perfection, this is what you need to do to get the exact same colors. Like I said, I'm going to make this one bigger as well, like so. Click here, and then click here, and then click here, and then I'm going to click here. All right, and that's the color I want. Copy, come back here, and then on hover, I want this to be like this. Paste. So now when you hover over it, it's like this, except for when I hover here, the color turns green as well, or stays green. So I'm going to come here to the text color. I'm going to take the exact same color on normal effect, paste it on hover. There you go. We have our button. So here, this is a very similar button, except for it has an icon on the right-hand side. We can achieve that. So here I'm going to come here, and as far as the icon, I'm going to come to the icon library. And let's look for an arrow. Let's look for arrow. And let's see what kind of arrow will fit. I think this one is the one. Click insert. And I want to insert the icon after. So here, icon position, click on after. Add some spacing. Like so. So if you see, this is what it is. Except for there is an animation here, only for the icon. Now, let's come back here to style for one more time. Now, there is no there is no border here, so I'm going to come back here, no border, none. And over here to advanced, I'm going to go to the motion effects. First off, let's align this to the center. The button width, we can make it custom. Right, I'm just going to make it default here, or full width. Default is better. And then over here, I can modify the position, but I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in motion effects. And then over here, the animation on hover. Normally, we don't have that. Mouse effects on, right? So here, mouse track, direction. Let's see, right? So you can see that it kind of adds an effect, which is cool there, opposite. So we can add an effect here, but not scrolling effect, entrance animation. All right, so I think this should be added as a CSS code. But anyways, right now you can see that this is good, but except for there's some padding that we need to add. So I'm going to come here to my container, click, go to advanced, and when it comes to padding, I'm going to add 100. And let's see the padding here. Make sure that you don't unlink the values when you add the padding. Now it does not really look that bad, but here I think we need to add a little bit more padding. So maybe I'm going to try with 150. Maybe this will just look better. Let's see. Right. Yep, it just absolutely looks better. And I think we should add a little bit of distance between the button and the text. So I'm going to click here and go to advanced. Margin at the top should be positive, maybe 30, maybe just 25, and update. All right, so now I think we're on a good path. Now the only thing that's left for us to do is to add the footer. But first off, let's make this header a sticky header. How do we do that? Well, scroll down to the top. Click on your header here, or on your first container. Go to advanced, scroll down, and over here in motion effects, click on sticky and click on bottom. Over here, this should be activated, right? Well, top, right? So click on sticky, click on top, and then right now you can see that it is sticky, except for you can see that it's not really, it's transparent, and we don't want it to be transparent. So how do we do that? Well, let's try with the bottom. Doesn't work. Top. Pretty sure we can do something here to make it not transparent. Right, well, first off, let's remove the tablet and the mobile. Let's just keep it on desktop. And then right here, I'm pretty sure that there is something wrong here, because normally this should be sticky and it should not be transparent. I click here and let me go back to the styling, the background color. All right, so we didn't add the background color. Maybe that's because of it. So I'm going to come back here and maybe take a background color like this. Come back, click here, and paste this. Right, so this solved our issue. And you can see that right now it's no longer transparent, which is perfect. So right now all that's left is to add the footer, and we're done with this clone of the Elementor landing page. So see you in the next lecture, where we're going to go ahead and add the footer. The footer is going to take us quite some time, but it's all worth it. And so see you there. All right, so how do you build such an amazing footer, which is the trademark of many huge brands? Now, if you check the big brands, most of them use very impressive footers, and people wonder, how can we create this with the theme, like Astra, for example? Well, not to say that you can't do that with a theme such as Astra, but Elementor is much easier, right? And it allows you to do this very seamlessly. Now, let me show you how you can achieve such a footer, because I've already done it. Over here at the bottom, you can see that this is like this. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to create a container. And inside of that container, we're going to have 5 other containers. Now, remember the logos that we've downloaded? Remember? Now, we have all the logos that we need. In this case, we're going to need this rose logo. just make sure that you use that logo from the zip file that we downloaded from the Elementor website at the beginning of this particular tutorial on the Flexbox container and how to build a clone for the Elementor landing page, and use that. So in this case, we have all the pieces ready. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click Edit with Elementor here. Now, like I said, a container with 5 containers inside of it. And that's it. Now, the only issue here that we have is that we cannot reproduce this exact same thing or this exact same form. To the best of my abilities, this is what I could produce. I've tried with the CSS code, but I was scared it might break the website. I've tried with a couple of iterations. I've even used ChatGPT to help me with writing the CSS code, but even ChatGPT couldn't help me make this like this. Now, I'm pretty sure that if I use the premium version of WP Forms that I can achieve this, but in this case, we're just going to have to create this form like this, which is already good. It doesn't really look that bad, doesn't it? So over here, let's go ahead and start our business. Now, I want you to go and create a new container. But first of all here, the first thing I want to do is I want to click this. And I want to go ahead and get the style of this. So if I go, now the style here, the style color of the background is this. I just want to make sure I copy it. And here, I'm going to enable safe mode for once. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page. And then over here, let's add a container. So the container should point from top to bottom and should be like this. And well, in other words, I'm going to have to add 4 like this. So 4 and duplicate 1 like this to make them 5 in total. All right, so now there are 5. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do I add these? These are just pages, by the way. These are just pages. And later on, you can create these pages. And it's very simple. The process of creating a page is very simple. And throughout the entire course, I've shown you how to create a page, how to create a post. So go ahead and create all of these pages. Website builder, strategy, page builder plugin, hello theme, dynamic content. Just make sure that you don't create 2 pages for 1 page, because if you go ahead and create strategy 2 times, that the WordPress CMS doesn't know that, hey, this guy has created 2 pages of the same name. They'll just create the second page with the same name. That will get you in a little bit of organizational trouble. So make sure that you create only 1 page for that specific page. Now here, let's go and let me come here to the background. I'm going to click on these 6 dots. Go to style here, and simply I'm going to click on the background here, click here, and just paste this. There you go. So now we've added the background color. Now the next thing would be to add headings. So here we have one heading here, and these are 1 page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, so these are 11. And then over here, I'm going to go and add that. First thing is first, add my heading. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and click on my font inspector. Then click over here to find the font. So the font of this is 16 normal 400. Right, so I'm going to use the style here. Go to typography. It should be 16 400 normal. And then over here, I'm going to make it Times New Roman because I think that's the closest one. The size is 16, which is pretty good. Now, let me scroll down here. The font color is RGB 33, 37, 41. Let's see if that's the color. First off here, let's transform. I'm going to capitalize this style normal, decoration none. Let me go back to see if this is it. Yep. And let me come here and change this color. Right. We've added the color, but it's not the same. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come here. I'm going to take an image, add it just here. And I'm going to add the image of my Elementor rose or pink logo. Now over here, I have this Elementor pink. That's it. We want the same color of this logo to be the color of this heading. How do we achieve that? Well, Canva, of course, will help us. So I have the logo imported to Canva, and I can click on it here, click here, and then click here, and take my color picker, and I can just spy on the color. That's it. And I have my color now. So I can go back here now. I can click on this element and color it with the correct color, and you can see this is what it gives us. Now I'm not pretty sure that, well, let me go back for once, right? So here, if I come here, I come back, now normally here, I'm pretty sure that this is not the size. I'm going to click back and click again. Click the font color. The size must be bigger. 16 to me is very small, but right, 16, capitalize. Now let's see the letter spacing. The letter line height is 24. Right, so 24. And instead of that, we're going to add web creation as the name here. So I'm going to go to content, web creation, but you can still see it didn't really fit up because here it should be bigger and it should be bold. So I'm going to have to alter the colors here, not the color, but the size. I'm going to make this 20 or even 22. And here I'm going to make it bold like this. And of course, I'm going to keep it there. I don't want to center it. And so right now we're going to go ahead and create a duplicate of this. Except for this time, the color should be white and it should not be bold. So it should only be medium and 16 in size. If I'm correct, I can actually make it maybe 18. And then over here, I can come to the color and change this. Or maybe I can just spy on this because I'm not pretty sure that the Times New Roman would do well. Let's change this to DM Sans. All right, DM Sans instead. And then the size should be 16 at a font of 400. Line height is 37.8. 37.8. And of course we have a color that is white, right? And it should say website builder. So this should say website builder. I'm going to come here to content, right? Instead of web content, web creation, I'm going to say website builder. And then I'm going to click and go to advanced. See here, normally I'm going to unlink the values here. And at the bottom, I'm going to add a negative margin of maybe 10. And then let me duplicate and see how this will look like. Duplicate. I think this looks pretty good. Except for I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more margin at the bottom. So I'm going to delete this one. Come back to the first one. Now here, instead of minus 10, I'm going to add minus 20. And this time I think it's fair to just duplicate now. The distance is quite fair. So right now the second one says strategy. But first off, I'm going to have to go ahead and duplicate this 11 times. So this is number 3. 8 more to go. 1. 7 more to go. 6 more to go. 5 more to go. 4 more to go. And 3 more to go. 2 more to go. And 1 more to go. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and just add the names. And first off, before I pause, if you want to link, for example, this page, website builder, to the website builder page, you only have to click this individual heading, go to content, and here you can see the link, and you can link to the page you want. Of course, you can click here and open the link in a new window if you so choose, and you can add a nofollow, which is good, but only in cases where it's optimized or good for SEO. So I'm going to pause the video and go ahead and enter all of these values. All right, so this is the result. Now, as far as the second one, it's not going to be very complicated to do. I'm just going to go ahead over here and copy this. So I'm going to copy this and come here and paste. I'm going to paste it inside of this. Now, I'm going to go back here, copy, come back here and paste. Okay, make sure that you paste inside here. That's it. And I'm going to go and copy this one. Duplicate it 2 times, duplicate once more, and then a 3rd time, right? And I'm going to go back here, click on the Chrome. I have a bug in my computer, so that bugs me up. So here I'm going to go here. It says WordPress hosting. Strategy and Page Builder plugin. Let me go back here, click here. It says Page Builder plugin. This one says Strategy. And then we have the first one, it should say pricing. Come back here, change this to pricing. And I'm going to duplicate this like so. Well, duplicate. And then take this, move it down here in between those two. We're gonna play on the margins later. But first off here, I want to duplicate this element and then put it down here under pricing and duplicate it 4 times as well. So duplicate and duplicate and duplicate. So even if it's boring, but this is what it is. Right. I hope that this was most instructing on Elementor and that it helped you gain some traction. But here, let me go here and click here. It should be changed to web. Right. Web designers, I guess. Web designers. Now, the next one should be developers. The next one should be marketers. Let's just do that. Developers. Click here. This one should be marketers. And then we have agencies and small business owners. Agencies, click this one. And this one is small business owners. And that's it, right? Owners. Now I'm going to click this one here and go to the top, advanced, go unlink values together. And at the top, I want to add a 30 margin. At the bottom, I want to add a 30 margin as well. And so I think this is better. So if I can check now, this is cool. Now let me go and create these other ones. Now, of course, I'm not going to create them on camera. I'm going to go ahead and create them. And straightforward, I'm going to show you how to build the last element, which is the most complicated. These ones are just the same. Just have to duplicate these other elements. It's just doing the same work over and over. Now for this particular last container on the right, that's where we need to do a little bit of work, and I'll meet you there. All right, so we've done it. So right now, let's go ahead and complete the work. So if I go back here, I just click back. Now here we have the Elementor, and we have this little heading over here down. So I'm going to go back and simply I'm going to copy this element, come here, click the section or the container, and here just paste, right? Then I'm going to go back over here and copy this thing, come back, click here and change this from about us to whatever this text is. Only we're going to have to go to style here, go to typography, and the line height should change. So in order to get the line height correct, you can come here, click the font inspector, and then click on the text, and it tells you exactly what the line height is. So it says here 22.4. Pretty sure that's what it is. So 22.4, that's the correct line height. And that's it. Now over here, we're going to add a form. All right, so I want to pay careful attention with me. But first off, I'm going to have to take one of these elements, copy, and this time it should say subscribe to our newsletters. I'm going to paste it down here, the bottom, paste style, not just paste. Well, I'm just going to go back here and here. All right, so I'm going to copy this element and come back and paste it exactly as it is. Paste. Well, no. It's actually wrong. So I'm sorry about this. I wanted to copy this one here. My bad. So I'm going to click here and paste. No, because I've been speaking a lot. I've lost the tempo. So here it says subscribe to our newsletter, right? I'm going to click this one here and change this to subscribe to our newsletter. And then, of course, I'm going to click and add some margin at the top, make it this time quite consistent, 50. And that's it. So here, let's add a form. So to add a form, come back here to the 9 dots and then search for contact. Now, it's either contact form or form. Now, contact form is for WP Forms. So I'm going to search for form instead. And I'm going to take this one, drag and drop it right here. Now you can see that this form is pretty big. So we're just going to keep the email and the send button. And then over here, the email, or like here on the style, if I come back here, the field, we need to change the background color of the field and the elements and the buttons. So here I'm going to come to content, click here, and in the label, I'm going to remove the text. That way it is like this. Here you can make it required for people to write their emails so that they can send, which is obvious. And here we have some advanced options. So you can even change the short code of the field here, but I'm just going to keep it as it is. And I'm going to go back here to style. Now, if I go back here, the background color is blue. So let's start with that one. Let's first of all go ahead and get the background color. Now I'm going to get the background color of the background in which the container is placed. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to click my element, then go to style, scroll down, click on field, then come in here, and then here in the background color, I'm going to change this to blue, except for the color inside, or the color of the text in the field, should be white, like so. That makes more sense. When it comes to the typography, it should be, in my opinion, the same as the other ones. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a typography of VM Sans and 14. That's it. And here, no border width. I'm going to make it 0. We want this to have no border width. Border color, it should be white. Let's make it white. And as far as the text inside, it should say enter your email address. So let's go back to the placeholder text in the content field, come back here, and it should say enter your email address. That's it. So you can see how this kind of looks, quite similar to the other one. Now, as far as the button is concerned, you're going to have to make it the same color as this, except for the color of the button should be blue, or the color of the call to action inside the button should be blue. So here, the call to action is subscribe, and it should be blue. So let's go back over here to the form fields. Let's go to buttons, and then here, change this from send to subscribe. All right. And let's see if this is, it's not uppercased, it's lowercased, it's centered. And you can actually justify the button if you want to, but I want it to be centered. I'm going to come back here to the row, right? You can add some gap. I don't want to add any gap. And over here in the button, I'm going to come back, and to the background color, I'm going to have to make it rose. So I'm going to go and get the rose color, copy, come back here, click. Then let's scroll down to the buttons. And then over here, the background color of the button, this is the color. And do not be tricked, because the subscribe should be in the same font as the other ones, except for it should be colored blue. So I'm going to click here to get the blue color that we want. The blue color is here. And if I come here, I can copy it easily. Clicking here, I'm going to come back here, and you can see how easy this is getting right now. So I'm going to scroll down to the buttons. Here, the text color, and change it to this. And let's see if there is a hover effect. Yes, there is. And the hover effect is simply that the color changes to kind of a more light rose color. So I'm going to take this exact same color, go to hover, come here, and just paste it down here. But this time, make it lighter. All right, let me make it lighter. And then once people hover over this, they see this, but I still see that the text color didn't change. So maybe because I didn't add it here. So I'm supposed to add it here, paste. Now it changed, and I'm supposed to also add it here because I want it to be consistent. Now I'm going to go to the typography of the button. And here I want the text to be 14 in size. I want it to be DM sans and normal. DM sans, normal text. Now the weight, I want it to be 400, should be normal. And then let's come back here and see if this is what we want. Now maybe I'm going to click here to transform this to capitalize. But first things first, I see that the text should be less, maybe 13 will do. Okay, that's perfect. So right now, if I click, let's see what this looks like, what the form looks like in real time. Now over here, we messed up. We didn't add this, right, the border on the button. So I'm going to go ahead and add a border. Right, so you can see here, buttons, click on border, solid. And then over here, the border color, right, in normal. Now this is the background color. Now, sorry, I'm going to get this back to default, but I'm going to go to the field here. And in the field, I want it to have a border of a 1 width, right? Yep, that's it, more like it. And I'm going to scroll down to the buttons here. Now I want to stretch the button a little bit to fit in. But first off, I think that we need to control the distance. If I go to content here, let me go to buttons and let me come here and just justify the button. Now is better, except for we need to make the distance between the button and the other element lesser. So I'm going to go back here to form, a rows gap. Let's play around with this. It doesn't change a thing. Maybe if we play around with the column gap. So here, the column gap also doesn't change a thing. Let me just try playing around here with, yeah, this one is the one, definitely. Yep, so I'm going to make it, put it to 0 on rows gap, and that juxtaposes them and they're stick together. So now I think we have our form. Of course, it is not the best of forms, but still it is good. All right, so you can see it's not that bad. And so right now, let's go back here and we're going to add a very simple text here that points to pages of terms and conditions and privacy policy. Now, how you can do this is very basically, we can use the technique of the text editor, because on the text editor, you can add a link to a specific word individually. So I'm going to come here and then I'm going to search for text editor, drag and drop it right underneath the form. And then I'm going to come here and copy the style of this heading. So for instance, this is the heading, and I'm going to scroll down here and paste style this time, right? So I'm going to paste style. That's it. Except for you can see the color is not white. So I'm going to force it to be white, like so. Now in terms of line height, let me click here and see the line height here by using the font inspector. Click again. It's 14,700 normal DM sans. And over here, the line height is 22.4. So I'm going to come here to style, to typography. Now this should be 700. And line height 22.4. If I come back here, well, maybe let's just get it back to normal. And first of all, let me go here and copy the exact same text. Copy, come back, go to content, and come back here, paste my text. We have our text. It's not in line. Now it is in line, but I have to change the color of terms and conditions. It needs to be white. And it is bold, so there's no problem in that. And this one needs to also be white. And you can see that it points out to the privacy page of Elementor because we copied the text with the link. But if you want to add a link to your own page, you can click on any element or any text, and you can come here to the link, and you can insert your own link. And that way you can insert a link to an internal link on your website. Now, I'm going to color everything white. And we've achieved the same effect as this one. Right, so what's left is for us to add the social icons. So how do you add the social icons? Actually go here and search for social icons, and then I'm going to take this social icons, drag and drop them here. Now you'll notice that this has nothing to do, or looks nothing like these, but I can show you how you can make them similar. So delete 2, keep only Facebook, click on Facebook, and then over here, when it comes to the color, use the official color, and then the shape, it must be circular, and make sure that it is left, and then come here to style. Now in terms of the color, keep it as official color. We can control the size later. Now the border type is none. And come here to color, click on custom. And here when it comes to the primary color, keep it the same. And for the secondary color, make it transparent. Well, in fact, it should be the other way around. So my bad, I'm gonna have to go back a little bit.